All right. I'm back. Sound's working. We're good. We're good. Did you hear a rattle when you touched your hardware? Can you hear me? Good. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the beginning here. Okay. Hold on. Let me just say hi to everybody. I was saying hi to people and I didn't know the sound was, I think I was going too fast. I apologize, but we're here. Just Maui, what's up? Damien, what's up? D, I know you have some complaints. We'll get into those, man. Abe Easy, great to see you. Stuart Donnie is here. Great to see you. Jordan is here. The Big Shrimp is here. Great to see you, Christopher. J Famix, great to see you, J Famix. Ariana is here to keep us safe. Mickle's here. D is here. LEX is here. Man, we got Wendy's is here. Finn's is here. Michael's here. Turk is here. So good to see everybody, man. 300 of you already in the chat. Richard, what's up, Richard? Great to see you, Richard. Always a pleasure. Eagle, what's up? Crypto Paycheck. That's a cool name, man. I like Crypto Paycheck. That's really good. Heath Savage already talking about the XCN, dude. We're just not gonna get into it, man. You know, I know some people want to talk about it, but we got a lot to go over, right? We got some new information from the SEC director. We have some new tariff information we should look at. There's new jobs reports information that we should definitely take a look at. We're going to take a look at the rest of the crypto market. I got Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP information. I got tokenization information. Man, I just been working on a lot of cool stuff today. So I was like, oh shit, I have a live stream. You know, I was recording content right before this. And like I had to stop because I was just getting too involved with what was going on. But XRP cloud mining, I've seen a lot of like people, a lot of companies trying to get into like, you know, staking and things like that. We're going to talk about that as well. Finns, if you can't hear me, oh, hold on. Yes, just leave. If you can't hear me, you're not going to know what I'm saying, but leave and come back. Like, and come back. All right. Okay. Hopefully it gets worked out, the sound. Okay. We good here? Hopefully, hold on. Fins. I hope that works. Okay. Let's just take a look at the current state of the market, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Man, there's red. There's blood in the streets. Bitcoin's down 3.5%. Ethereum is down 7%. XRP is down 7%. We are below $3. Man, you gotta love that. BNB, I mean, the whole market's down. Solana is down 13%. Hype is down 16%. Sui is down 14%. XLM is down 10%. Oh, so this is like a flash crash. Tao's down 20%. Ooh, there is blood in the water today. That's rough. Can you hear you now? All right, Fins. I was stressing about that, Fins. I'm glad you can hear. What's up, Horror? Good to see you, man. Great to see you. What's going on? You'll teach me some sign language? I definitely need help, man. I definitely need help. But it's great to see you. Strega. Appreciate you. Great to see you. Always a pleasure, Strega. Thank you so much for being here. All right, here, let's get into some of this information though, because I could talk to you guys until I'm blue in the face, but there's a lot of important things that are going on. If you're wondering like what's going on with the markets, I mean, I can kind of tell you. I can tell you what I am seeing. I just don't know if I want to get into this just yet because this is a little sensitive stuff. Let's just go with crypto information first, and then we'll get into the market. Okay. So, Michael Saylor, Bitcoin is demonstrating foreign estate, private equity, other store of value, and other assets all over the world. So, I think a lot of people are interested in getting into crypto assets, and Michael Saylor wants you to buy Bitcoin because he owns 600,000 and some change. I think he owns 628,000 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy owns like 3% of all Bitcoin. So of course, Michael Saylor wants you to buy as much Bitcoin as possible because he needs to make some money.
Well, I think the key to keep in mind is Bitcoin is demonetizing foreign real estate, private equity, public equity, other sorts of store of value assets everywhere in the world. 20th century physical analog assets are becoming 21st century digital assets. These companies like Apple and Microsoft, if they could buy the S&P index, they'd be better off. It's against SEC rules.
Right.
If they could buy each other's securities, if the Mag 7 could buy each other's securities, they would be better off. That's against SEC rules. The only security Apple can buy is Apple stock. And what do? They buy their own security. So in general, if you're trying to create shareholder value, you don't want to park it in a fiat currency. You want to park it in a tangible asset. But gold and real estate don't make sense.
Did you ever see, we're talking about...
All right, there's like a 12-minute interview. If you really want to see more Michael Saylor, go watch that full interview. I'm definitely not going to play the full 12 minutes. I can't handle that much Michael Saylor. But you also have Tom Lee. He explains why 15,000 for Bitcoin, 500,000 for Bitcoin might be a conservative estimate over the next few years. Let me play this.
I'm sure 500,000 is just one of the realm of possibilities, because if Bitcoin gets to 500,000 and we're talking 5 years from now, gold's network value probably is close to 27, 28 trillion. So he's just saying Bitcoin will be valued at 1/3 as digital gold, merely as digital gold. And so I think that's conservative. I mean, I think it won't take 5 years for Bitcoin to supplant the network value of gold. So that's why I think when you see something like Kathy Wood at ARK predict over $1 million for Bitcoin, that to me 5 years from now makes more sense.
All right. Here is a really cool commercial. I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but JP Morgan Chase, which is the largest bank in America, has just partnered with Coinbase to use their APIs. So basically customers that use Chase are going to be able to move money directly into Coinbase. And it sounds like vice versa. Let me show you this information. It's a really big step to where we're going with this. I mean, if you've been in Sensei Chat during the bear market, I talked a lot about what the future of the crypto market will look like. And when we were talking about this years ago, we were speculating that all of these big banks and institutions would want to offer crypto to their customers somehow. Now, there's a few ways banks can do this, but the easiest, most simplest way a bank can do this is by just partnering with, Coinbase or crypto.com or Kraken or one of these, bigger exchanges, and use their APIs to directly connect and offer that trading. Now, some banks will decide to, buy their own crypto and then offer that, use that for liquidity purposes, and then, eventually sell some of that to their audience or their customers. But I do believe the easiest solution is usually the best solution for some of these banks. But let me show you. I want to show you the new Coinbase commercial because I think it's really good, and I'm sure I'll get this video will get taken down or something because I play this stuff. But I don't care. I don't do live streams, for making money. I do live streams to connect with you guys and answer questions and show you cool stuff. I think this was a cool commercial, so let's play it.
We ain't got no troubles, no reason to complain. 'Cause here in Great Old Britain, we just love it when it rains.
Morning.
We're cozy here at home, even though it's not our own. But wait a few more years and you can say everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. The streets can't get no cleaner, nor the rat meat any leaner. No, life is just first rate.
Everything is just fine.
These fish fingers are a steal.
Prices up a smidge.
Just £100 a meal.
Empty purse, but hey, could be worse if there was nothing in the fridge.
Strategic realignment means I get to work for myself. Yeah!
Paying off my law degree with tips from each delivery. Excuse me, sir, I have your tandoori. Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. just fine. Everything is great. We're soldiering on, we're doing our best.
We're off to Dubai. It's time to jump ship.
We're tightening our belts with a stiff upper lip. 'Cause everything's just fine.
Man, Coinbase, I like that. Coinbase has some really, really, good marketing people. I've seen a lot of really good commercials. That was probably one of the more funny ones. If a commercial can get you engaged, like you're like, what is going on here, right? And you can connect with it in some way. You can start laughing. I just think that they did a good job. But that leads us into this next piece of news. So this is a big deal. So 91 million Chase users can now move funds directly into crypto via Coinbase. Check this out.
JP Morgan Chase, America's biggest bank, is opening the doors to 91 million customers to move funds directly from their Chase accounts directly into crypto through Coinbase. This partnership unlocks crypto for the masses like never before. Here's what's coming, guys. In the next year, Chase users will gain instant access to credit card funding on their Coinbase accounts instead of having to wait days for it to clear. They'll have the ability to swap Chase reward points for USDC on Base. That's pretty cool. And connect bank accounts with one click without the need for third-party aggregator. Crypto will sit side by side with Apple Pay, Zelle, with zero friction and maximum trust. A single percentage point of Chase's 80 million active cardholders stepping in means 800,000 new crypto users and a 10% surge in Coinbase's active monthly users. A 5% conversion rate brings in 4 million new users, with each new user averaging $100 on their first purchase, which is typical of US retail starting point. That's hundreds of millions of fresh dollars moving straight into our crypto bags. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how stablecoins make the jump from niche crypto circles into everyday lives for millions of Americans.
Man, that is some crazy, crazy news. NVIDIA didn't like the commercial, stupid commercial. All good, all good. But that's really big because I have Chase, right? And then when you're moving money onto Coinbase, it does take a hot minute for it all to clear. And so usually your money's stuck there for 7 days or something like that as it clears. But this is direct clearing, which I think is going to be a vital piece on the future of this. So let's see here. Dr. Savage says the boomers go to the bank. Is this where I can buy some of that Bitcoin? Do you guys hold the Bitcoins? How do I get one of these Bitcoins? Effing boomers. Hey, I think some older people, don't have a clue. But I think there's a lot of older people that are incredibly smart and know exactly what they need to do to get involved in this ecosystem. And so I think it's just kind of who you've been able to meet in your lifetime. And that's kind of maybe the fresh comparison that you're giving. But I think it's all a learning experience for everybody. And I think we shouldn't count out anybody's age range, especially in crypto, because, people like my dad's generation, they're the ones that have a lot of money still, and they're going to be, wanting to pass that down to generations to come. And young people prefer crypto over stocks these days. And so it'll be really interesting to see how all this unfolds. Paul Atkins actually released this video. Let's just play this video first. I don't really want to read all the Paul things here, but let me play this. 122. Check this out.
Today, I should like to discuss what Commissioner Peirce, Hester Peirce, and I are calling Project Crypto, which will be the SEC's North Star in aiding President Trump in his historic efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. The SEC will not stand idly by and watch innovations develop overseas while our capital markets remain stagnant. We're at the threshold of a new era in the history of our markets. As I mentioned earlier, today I'm announcing the launch of Project Crypto, a commission-wide initiative to modernize the securities rules and regulations to enable America's financial markets to move on-chain. The President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets released the PWG report with clear recommendations for the SEC and other federal agencies to build a framework to maintain U.S. dominance in crypto asset markets. This report is the blueprint to make America first in blockchain and crypto technology.
Hell
We
yeah.
will not watch from the sidelines. We will lead, we will build, and we will ensure that the next chapter of financial innovation is written right here in America.
Oh my God. What a difference. What a difference in SEC chairs, right? Does anybody miss Gary Gensler? Raise your hand. Anybody? Nobody raised their hands here. Okay. That is great. Anytime you can have, we knew that the person coming into the SEC chair was going to have to be crypto friendly, and to, hear all of the things that the SEC is doing to try to push crypto regulation and adoption and growth in America is just music to my ears. So beautiful, man. I feel like I'm at a symphony listening to just like the best classical music in the world. Brandon did say something that, took me back. And so I was like, I started this so I could come back to it. So he says, in Australia, my transfers from bank to exchange take 30 seconds to clear and be available on exchange. That is insane. 30 seconds to clear. Feel like Australia is living in the future and the US is still trying to catch up. But great. Thank you for sharing that, Brendan. I really appreciate it. That does give us some understanding of what maybe we could be looking forward to here. So Paul Atkins also put like all of this stuff here. I don't really want to read through all of these tweets or this thread. I will link this in the description, like in the comment section. If you guys want to like pull this up on your phone and read through this yourself, please do. I will leave it in the notes that I built for Cryptonaires members. At the end of a chat, I will, if I go through a lot of different news, I will link this in that news. Okay. I did want to, go over some stuff that's happening with Flare. We have a lot of people that come on and ask about Flare. We've talked about Flare almost every single Sensei chat for the past, 3 months. And they're developing a lot of unique ways to earn with your XRP and other assets. So let me just play this for you. Play this for you. And
some external service sets up and they want to leverage XRP for their security. Now, let's say for argument's sake, it's a new XRPL sidechain that wants to use XRP in a proof of stake-like security mechanism. This XRP would be staked on Flare through Firelight. The data with regards to the stake composition and node composition is relayed from Flare to that sidechain. This conveys the economic security of that staked XRP to the sidechain nodes. And under the happy path, the nodes operate well and provide revenue in the form of native token or protocol fees. This is not something that's set by Firelight. This is up to the builders of the protocol. However, when one of these nodes that you're staked to breaks the protocol rules, say it has a liveness issue, such as node uptime goes below 95% on some rolling average, the XRP stake associated with that node can be slashed by proving through the Flare data connector that this event has occurred. And it's important to note here, because I know that the XRP community will be very concerned about their principal stake of XRP. Slashing does not have to take away XRP. There are forms of slashing where you can just slash accrued rewards that have not yet been distributed.
All right. And I also want to show you this too, because More Markets is having some success with their product. You can see here 38% is staked, earned 5% APY on your XRP. Now, I did ask the team how long people would need to lock up their XRP for. I didn't see them respond. I didn't get a response yet from their team. I do believe, when I did look this up on Perplexity, and sometimes Perplexity doesn't, have it. It says, they're giving examples here. Binance or Bybit are 30 to 90 days for the highest earning blocks. And this is just giving some other opportunities in the crypto space with staking. But remember, once you stake on a crypto platform, you can't get that crypto off unless you pay like a fee to unstake it. Not every platform has the ability to unstake. And if something happens to that platform when your crypto is staked, you might lose all of your crypto. So please keep all of that in mind. Talk with a financial advisor if you're thinking of earning, if you want to try to earn some additional rewards with your crypto, but do understand that that comes with a ton of risk. Understand all of the risks before you jump into that. All right. I did want to get into a few other things here. It looks like Tom Lee doubles down on a 15K ETH prediction. Let me play this really quickly and we'll get into some of your questions.
And I think I mentioned that if we use multiple similar to Circle, you get to 15,000-ish for ETH. To me, Ethereum is being rejuvenated, right? Because we know the community has been galvanized, and we know that there's just an army of interest coming because of the tokenization Wall Street wants to do, and they are choosing to do it on Ethereum. So I think when you think about the future value of activity, it needs to start getting discounted on Ethereum. And I think that's why the price still needs to adjust higher. And I think I mentioned that if we use multiples similar to Circle, you get to 15,000-ish for ETH. And that would just be a today value. So I think ETH is still undervalued. But we also know, I mean, just from a trading perspective, look, there's a lot of people who think ETH has become sclerotic, like it's a stale layer one. There's more things happening on Solana or Sui. But the reality is that ETH is a legally recognized blockchain operating within the US, and it's never had any downtime. I thought it was so interesting that Vitalik on the 10th birthday of Ethereum notes zero downtime. That matters to Wall Street. I actually think that's almost a little bit of a hat tip to Wall Street, because banks care about zero downtime. But again, as you know, there's people who have a pair. They like something else and they're short ETH. So I think 4,000 is a line in the sand. But to me, it's just a matter of time. And
All
I
right.
think I mentioned that if we use
Ethereum does have a long way to go. I think there is going to be a lot of infrastructure built out. It already has been built out on Ethereum, and some people are going to make a lot of money in Ethereum. Jack Spring says, "I'm done. I'm selling." What are you selling, my man? You selling Ethereum? I always share Sensei's channel with X with every one of them. Hey, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching on X, you can like on X. You can also share it with your audience, like whoever follows you. I'd appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit like. I'd appreciate that too. Not to kind of scroll back through all of the chats. If you guys want to say anything fresh here, I'll take a look here. Sensei Sense Crypto. Oh, you're talking about different channels that you watch. So you watch Common Sense Crypto. All right, 24 Hours Crypto are the three only channels I need. Three very smart guys know their facts and don't just regurgitate. It's always I'm always trying to figure out like new ways to look at maybe like the same problem, or like today I spent a lot of time this morning. I spent a few hours understanding tokenization globally. And, I'm building a video. I recorded a few different versions of this video. I'm just not happy with it yet. I spent a good hour this morning trying to get this video out. But I was looking at the data of how much of tokenized value has been tokenized so far and how much is still to go. And what are the roadblocks that are stopping tokenization from happening more quickly? And I'm still working on that research right now. But I think it speaks to a larger problem globally of jurisdictional changes with different governments and different regulators around the world. So an example of one of these hurdles for tokenization is when you sell something to somebody. Let's say that you are selling your home, right? And you sell that via the blockchain, and all the paperwork and everything moves. So some countries don't recognize the digital sale of something. The tokenization of that financial product and moving that on a crypto rail. And so you need like legacy systems talking with new blockchain systems to make all of this make sense. And, that's going to be a really good video once I figure out how to properly, go through it. But, sometimes you don't get stuff the first try or the second try or the fifth try or the 10th try. You just got to keep going back until it feels good for you. And if it feels good for you, it should feel good for other people. So hello, Sensei the Way. What's up? How you doing? Great to see you. Scammers are everywhere, guys. Obviously, listen, never participate in any kind of YouTube comments. If you see YouTube comments talking about some random token or whatever, if you interact with that token, there's a chance that you could lose all of your crypto that's in that wallet. So never, ever, 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 ever listen to any comments in YouTube comments. It is a full-time job banning all of this stuff, and YouTube doesn't do a good job stopping it. So just be very, very careful. Okay. What are your thoughts on XRP memes? Flippy, am I following you on Twitter? I think I am, right? I'm pretty sure your name looks familiar. I think listen, the demand for XRP is growing. The demand for the EVM sidechain is growing. The demand for developers building in the XRP ecosystem is growing. Also, what is growing is liquidity through stablecoins. All right. And with that growth, you are going to get, a certain percentage of those people that are invested in the XRP ecosystem are going to be interested in investing into community projects, right? And I think community projects are a healthy part of any blockchain that is going to be successful in the future, because you need to have these groups of people that think and talk and look like you, that are interested in supporting these different narratives on blockchains. But meme coins come with extreme risk. The most money that I've lost in the crypto space over time has been through meme coins, right? I've also made some good money, but it is all risk. And so, if you can find the right meme coin, right, early, you can be extremely successful, but understand that, you could lose everything that you put into that meme coin if it goes the other way. So very important to support the community and tokens being built. I do think there may be some additional layers of regulation that we could put in to help keep people a little bit more safe. When we're talking about community tokens, maybe there's a registration process where if somebody legitimate wants to build a community token, they need to maybe register and show that registration, and that allows other people to know that this is a serious person trying to build a community token. Now, a lot of these community tokens don't work out. Technology can fail. Anything can happen, right? And I've seen pretty much any way a project can fail. I've seen it in the last 5 years. Usually it's like a hack. Sometimes it's the community. Sometimes it's the team saying or doing the wrong thing, which puts off the community. Sometimes it's somebody on the team that's important moves on to a different project. I mean, any one of these things can stop a project in its tracks. So as long as people understand the risks that comes along with meme tokens and supporting community projects, that's totally fine. But I don't think a lot of people do understand those risks. So, but I appreciate the question, man. Thank you so much. Stephanie, how you doing? So a lot of stuff going on. Just to kind of give you a quick update, Chase and Coinbase have a new partnership. It's 91 million Chase customers are going to be able to move money directly on and off Coinbase with basically instant liquidity. And so this could bring anywhere from a few 100,000 new users into the crypto space or several million new users. There's a lot of stuff going on in the market today. The reason the market's probably red, there is some new tariff updates and information, and the market is reacting poorly to that. There's also some new jobs data that was revised over the last few months that the market is acting negatively to. So I do think that's what's probably, we're going to talk about that next here. And this is, gets a little sensitive. So bear with me, guys. Let me do this. Let me get into this information, and then I'll come back to some of your questions. Earlier we talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Ethereum a bit. We've talked about staking. We do know that the SEC is moving forward with their own kind of crypto adoption. So a lot of stuff happening there. But here is what is going on today, if you want to know exactly what's going on with the market. So here is what's happening. Okay. Now, this is the US, obviously. So understand that. This is insane. So Kobayashi letter puts out a lot of data on all of this stuff. And so I'm just reading what they're saying here. It says we must receive some massive downward jobs revisions. May jobs report was revised from revised 125,000 downwards from 144,000 to 19,000 jobs. So in May, only 19,000 jobs were created instead of 144,000, which was originally reported. In June, the numbers were revised down by 133,000 from 147,000 to just 14,000. That's 258,000 jobs that just vanished in the data in 2 months. So that is what people are negatively reacting to. Donald Trump did fire the person in charge of this, the BLS commissioner, but the downward jobs revision may be exactly what Trump needs to get Powell to cut rates. The Fed will only cut rates if inflation is right, is around 2% of the target. The negative 258,000 downward revision today, along with the weak July number, actually increases the odds of a September rate cut to plus 80%. Trump has fired the commissioner in charge of producing this data, but the data absolutely helps his cause with rate cuts. So there is, there's a little like short-term pain here, but this could help the overall bringing rates down. We just need to understand that the Fed has two mandates. One of them is unemployment. One of them is inflation. If both of those things are starting to go up, like, unemployment is starting to go up and inflation is starting to go up at the same time, they're supposed to fight inflation over the jobs. But we'll have to see how all of this turns out. Obviously, there's been some changes with tariff rates recently in different countries. And businesses are not quite sure, what rates will be from one day to the next. And so they cannot plan. And usually what happens, we talked about this, like 4 months ago, right? We talked about this like 4 months ago, right? Does anyone remember the Sensei chats from 4 months ago? We were talking about if you have weaker demand in the economy, because if things cost more, okay, people already have a problem with spending money. Okay. So what you're seeing is a decline in spending. Okay. When people are spending less, there doesn't need to be as many things created. So if you work in a warehouse or someone that creates, X, Y, and Z trinket, and, every month you're selling 50,000 trinkets, and then all of a sudden you're selling 25,000 trinkets, you don't need as many trinkets. And so you're basically employing less people because you don't make as many things. So we talked about that 4 months ago and people said I was crazy. It's all good though, right? Because we were looking at the data, we made a good assessment of the data, and now we're seeing that, right? We're seeing the economy slow down, and we are seeing a problem with those numbers. And so interesting part here though, if rates start to decline, right, that could put more people into borrowing more and putting that into the market, right? That's why Trump wants the rates to come down to like 1%. So, people will start buying houses again. People will start taking loans again, buying cars again. All of this stuff can start to pick up. I did, talking about tariffs now, like this is I know it's a very sensitive issue. We're not going to get too deep in this because I know people have one way feeling or another. Let's just look at the hard data. So far, tariffs in the United States, they have raised about 120 to 150 billion dollars. Very difficult to get that exact number. I think last month in July, they raised 29 billion dollars from tariffs. Okay. They're Josh Holloway. He's a Republican. I don't know if he's in the Congress or in the Senate. Excuse me. I don't know him too well. But he was pushing a tariff credit forward for every American. Now, I think depending on how much money you make and, all of these different things might play a factor, but they're talking about a $600 credit for everyone making, I think it's a 75,000 per person or 150,000 joint filing households. I think you can get like $600. And then if you make over that, I think it's like 5% less. I'd have to look at the actual data. But anyways, they're trying to give people a tariff credit. So if just looking at the data one-to-one here, you probably raised 125 to 150 billion dollars in tariffs, right? And the issue here is now you're talking about giving 200 billion back to people from the tariffs that you're raising prices. So there obviously is some inconsistencies here. And so we don't really know how all of that's going to turn out, but that's kind of some new tariff rates were announced yesterday or today. And that is what's causing a little bit of the issue here with the current, people dumping right now. I think people are a little worried about that. Let me see here. Do I have that data? Hold on. I have some data here. Hold on. I was researching this. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the data from the research I was doing a few days ago on this. Give me 1 second here. Let me pull this up. Economic tariff data. Hold on. Let's see here. U.S. economics hot. I wasn't really prepared to talk about this today, so I really wasn't. Let me see. Is this what I want? No, you know what? I don't want to get too neck into the woods. I did want to share this though. July was a historic month for investors. The Nasdaq Composite reached a 14 all-time highs in July, the most on any the most of any July on record, according to Sentiment Trader. That's double the total in 2024 and surpasses previous July records set in 1977 and 1997. At the same time, the S&P reached 10 all-time highs the past month. Historically, only 2 other years have seen this many all-time highs. Year to date, the S&P has posted 15 all-time highs in second strongest year since 2021, behind 57 highs set in 2024. So it has been a very good year for growth in the stock market. I mean, it has been rocky at times, but it is going pretty well. I was hoping I had more data on what's it called? Shoot, I do not. But here, look, this is also what I want to play. So this is on the Paul Brown Network. They're talking about extending the bull market possibly because of lower rates. So let me just play this clip for you.
Interesting. So I'm urging people, stay patient, stay vigilant. If something changes in the news or the charts that says bull market over, I'll let people know. I'll change my mind. I will tell the people that. But at the moment, I'm actually seeing more signs of, hey, not as fast, but bullish movements for longer periods of time. You might have to wait a little longer than you thought to get your $100 chain link or your $200,000 Bitcoin. But I still think it's coming before the next big bear market.
Interesting.
So I'm urging people, stay patient.
Interesting. You know, and we are talking about a substantially higher probability of rates being lowered in September. It went from 37.7% to 81.9%, according to the CME Fed Watch tool. So this should be interesting. I don't know. What are you guys all thinking about the markets? Are you guys worried about these new tariff rates? Let me see if I can find some data on this. This correction would have happened regardless of tariffs. Love that. Appreciate that. Senator Holloway is a senator. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you. Always have an exit plan, Tiago. Always have an exit plan. Absolutely. Appreciate you, Robert. How you doing? Pellegrino. Man, you have a really beautiful last name. Pellegrino. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Why does it seem like XRP influencers refrain from market maker or like unlawful price manipulation? I mean, is there price manipulation in the crypto market? Absolutely. I mean, we could talk about it until we're blue in the face, but I don't know how that helps anybody. We can't really do anything about it, right? We actually, it does get brought up here sometimes, Ben. You know, it's not like we're avoiding the topic, but like there's a lot of other interesting things that are happening. Market manipulation has been happening since the, inception of time, right? That's greedy people doing greedy things to make even more money. Greed has been around for, thousands of years. So, is anything actually new here? Probably not, right? You still have greedy people doing greedy things, man. Anyways, tariffs are needed for a healthy economy. I agree with you. Alchemist. But you do realize, and I was researching this today because I wanted to better understand it. I need to spend a little bit more time here, but who controls tariffs, who's supposed to, right? It's Congress. You have both sides of the aisle. That's one of their main functions as legislators, is to set tariff rates, to look at all of these countries and set rates in those countries. That is their job, right? That's partly why they're there. And so you do have a lawsuit going through, I can't remember what district it's going through right now, but there are people that are trying to stop Trump from kind of setting these random tariff rates that come into his head, because they're not really based on, logic. They're based on what his personal feelings are. And that's probably not the way you should run a country. That's just my personal opinion. You can have a different opinion, but that's how I feel about it. Let's see here. For the wisdom, brother. Appreciate you, C Woods. Let's I want to dig into this a bit, right? I think we could all gain something from this, from better understanding. Who usually sets tariff rates, and why is it important they keep doing it? Also, what are the new tariff rates? Tariff rates that were set today by Trump. All right. because people want to know, like, why is the market going backwards, right? You know, like what is happening? And part of it is a correction, part of it is policy, part of it is this. So here, like, let's just better understand this together, okay? So who usually sets tariff rates? Because I really like to understand this, so I can explain this when I'm having a conversation with somebody. Tariff rates in the United States are constitutionally set by Congress, as stated in Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, which gives Congress the authority to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. In practice, Congress has delegated some of its tariffs authority to the executive branch, particularly to the president, who may adjust tariffs under specific circumstances, including national security or trade negotiations. Major tariff-related legislation and all bills concerning tariffs must originate in the House Ways and Means Committee, but certain laws, like the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 and other acts, allow the president to unilaterally impose or adjust tariffs in response to economic or national security concerns. Now, the issue here is, what are the economic or national security concerns that Trump is setting these rates? That has been the argument that they're starting to hear in some of these higher courts, right? There might be a decision that's coming from these higher courts that basically takes some of this authority away from Trump. And so this is why I wanted to better understand it. And so why is this important? Why is it important for the authority to be maintained? Maintaining this division, Congress as the originator and the president as the executor or adjuster, is important for several reasons. Checks and balances. Tariffs can significantly impact domestic and international economies, affecting consumers, businesses, and geopolitical relationships, ensuring that both legislative and executive branches have roles, provides a check on one another's power. There's also economic stability and predictability. I think this is the biggest one that businesses that I'm reading that businesses are having issues with. Having transparent and predictable processes limits the risk of sudden tariff hikes, which could disrupt global trade and economic planning. This is the problem that you currently have. You're not having a lot of investment happening in America right now due to this uncertainty, right? You are getting some, yes, but you're not having maybe as much as you would. Bound tariff rates, World Trade Organization commits help keep trade stable, making global commerce more predictable for businesses. And then, of course, responding to emergencies, executive powers are sometimes necessary for quick action in trade emergencies, such as retaliatory measures or threats on national security. However, these powers are often limited and subject to congressional review or renewal. So the reason this is important, you have both sides of Congress, right, that are in this committee that decide on tariff rates. That's their job, is to look at all this stuff. And then when you have, all of these different changes, it's very difficult for businesses to figure out what they're going to do. Now, some of these newer tariffs that were just announced, let's just go through this really quickly. President Trump issued an executive order delayed to take effect on August 7, 2025. So it's coming up in the next few days, setting new reciprocal tariff rates on goods from dozens of countries, with rates ranging from 10% to 41%. Now, understand, these are some of the highest tariffs that we've ever had in the last 100 years. So these obviously are a tax, right? The importer, the U.S. importer, is the one who pays the tariffs, right? So those are American companies importing goods from overseas that are paying this 10 to 41%. Now, those companies usually don't have 10 to 41% profit in what they are selling. So those companies are going to have to pass that higher rate along to you and I, the customer. All right. Universal tariff imports on countries where the U.S. has trade surplus is subject to 10% tariffs. Trade deficit partners, roughly 40 countries where the U.S. has a trade deficit, a new 15% tariff will apply. Higher tariffs for certain countries. Some nations face higher rates up to 41%, including Syria. That's a weird one. South Africa, Bosnia, and I can't even say that. I'm not going to try to. 30%. Japan, Korea, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, and Tunisia, 25%. Bangladesh, Serbia, Cambodia, Thailand at 35 to 36%, and Indonesia at 32%. Also, Canada, a new 35% tariff now applies to many Canadian imports, up from previous 25%, reportedly in response to broader security and drug issues. This is kind of a silly one personally, because I think it's like 0.02% of fentanyl comes over the Canadian border. Most of it comes over the Mexican border. European Union tariffs range from 0 to 15% depending on product energy. Now, I just want to go through this at the beginning of the year here, like the beginning of Trump's term. Some of these tariffs were only 2%. Okay. And now you're dealing with stuff that could be 35% or 41%. This is also what's causing the market to adjust. Now, what is the outcome here? Trump could push the tariffs back again, and then the markets would continue to rally. But if he holds firm on these tariff rates, there is going to be some pushback in markets. So expect that. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, let's get some questions in, guys. I know it's just a lot of information that I went through there. Well, Scott, wasn't it Trump that worked on the latest agreement between Canada and Mexico? Like that was one of his prize things that he talked about in his first administration, isn't it? Like, isn't it better to have this free and open trade? That's why you got all of these billions of dollars of investment with our neighbors here, you know, with all of these car manufacturers in the United States building things going across the border multiple times. You know, you would figure that is a good thing for most of these companies. Now, some tariffs are definitely needed to prevent, like, let's say EVs coming from China. That could be a problem for EV makers in the United States. So you want a higher tariff so that doesn't disrupt the US car market. That's understandable, right? And so there's going to be different things along the way that you want higher tariffs on. Absolutely. But doing this like blanket tariffs might not be good for the long-term growth of the country is all I'm trying to say here. All right. And I know we all have strong opinions on it, but let me get some of your feedback on what I just went through. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we want markets open to free trade, right? Like, I think that's where everyone can be very successful. You cannot remove all tariffs around the world. Like, it makes sense for some countries to have certain tariffs, right? I think like one of the things in Canada, right? They have like a very small population of dairy farmers in Canada. And, you know, if Canada didn't put like a higher tariff percentage on US dairy, that US dairy would, you know, just overtake the Canadian market. And then all of those dairy farmers in Canada wouldn't be able to, you know, bring their products to market and compete. So there are certain situations where tariffs are absolutely needed. Like, I'm not against tariffs. I'm just answering the question of what's going on with the markets right now. Why was there $1 trillion lost in the stock market today? And that is partly one of the reasons that we are dealing with. Like, here, look, this is the image that people are sharing on X right now. And we've seen this time and time again, right? This will probably come back, but you just don't want days of this, right? $1 trillion wiped out of the markets. Like, you don't want continuous days of this. Whew, spicy. You do understand that talking about tariffs isn't talking about politics, right? Listen, part of the reason I look at all this data so I can make better decisions about my investments. If you don't want me to go through this information, like if you would rather just close your eyes and not deal with this information, I understand that. And maybe I can adjust that if enough of you say that you don't want to see this information. But like the one or two people saying, oh, you know, politics, it's not really politics, right? I'm not saying anything negative about Trump. I'm just bringing up why this could be a bigger issue going forward, right? You just saw 250,000 jobs cut out of the economy in 2 months. That's 250,000 jobs in 2 months. Like, do you think that's going to get better this month or next month? Right? Like, you're going to be like, we'll be lucky to look at the July data and not have that revised down into the negative, right? So the economy is doing this right now. And if you don't want to talk about it, I get it. I get it, man. I understand. Let me see here. Ross says, yes, but it'll be a race to the bottom. If we increase tariffs, they will increase as well. And unfortunately, the consumer is the loser. See, like, that's Ross, man, I like that. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with politics, right? Like, I hope it didn't. I hope I was able to deliver that information political view free. I really hope I was. I'm just trying to educate people on this stuff because I feel it's important to me, right? And like, you're coming to this channel, you're spending time with me. if I can't tell you what's important to me, like what am I doing like up here? I got to have an opinion about something and I got to stick with that opinion. Let's get into some XRP stuff. Where do you think XRP will base out at? Man, hard to say. It looks like we lost some, resistance at like $3 and was it 2 cents or 5 cents? We broken through that. So I don't know, man. Let's take a look here. I mean, the issue here, this is not a very good chart here, but like the issue here is where do you find support along the way, right? 285 area, maybe. I don't know, man. Like if we dip below this, we could drop all the way back down to, low twos. Hopefully we won't go that far down. Obviously people might start buying in, but this is just a flash crash. Obviously any news or information that reverses the policies that are causing the markets to go this way, that will have a positive, inflection point. Obviously ETF approval, SEC Ripple case, if that is wrapped up on August 15th, if we get some update from the court, that'll help. There's a lot of information that'll help us, man. Vinman says the Dems and rhinos made tariffs a tool to enrich themselves and to fund campaigns. Really? I didn't know that. Is that a real thing? I'll have to research that. If that was the case, it's news to me, man. I have no idea. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Oh, Kame's here. What's up, Richard? Love the non-biased reporting and sharing. Good, bad, and ugly. We love it all because it's the truth. Keep it up. Aloha. See, there you go, Richard. See, look at that. I'm gonna star that too, Richard. I love you, man. Thank you. All right. See, it gets us talking, right? The spiciness. It gets us talking at least. All right. I got some other crypto news though. Let's get in and take a look at some of this stuff. I was building some content earlier about tokenization. I can share some of that with you guys if you want. Oh, here, check this out. This is a cool video. I was building a video today about like what's left in the steps of tokenization, and I found this video by Mark Yusko. Well, it's somebody that put it together. But this is a very powerful video. Let me play this with you.
That every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every bottle of fine wine, every collectible car, every piece of real estate, every private business, everything of value in the world will eventually be a token. This adoption of technology, this evolution, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution of technology, that everything of value will be a token on a blockchain. Not a coin, not a thing. It's literally a line item on a public ledger. Everything of value will be that. And every transaction of value will happen in digital assets. You don't need the pieces of paper. Wipe out all of DTCC, which processes $1.8 quadrillion a year. That is a large number. That will all move to digital. And when it does, it will create massive wealth, the greatest wealth creation opportunity I'm going to see in my lifetime.
The greatest, what does he say? The greatest
wealth, the greatest wealth creation opportunity I'm going to see in my lifetime.
The greatest transfer or the greatest creation of wealth that he's going to see in his lifetime. That is what we're all trying to do here. We're all trying to be a part of that, right? I mean, what I find interesting about the crypto market, and stop me if I'm wrong here, but the ability to invest in the future infrastructure of countries, right, or institutions. We've never had that opportunity before, and that is what excites me most. We don't know if all this technology is going to work out, right? When you start to scale into the trillions or quadrillions of dollars in value on chain, you start to realize that we haven't even like hit the starting gun on all this stuff. Let me show you some data here. I was pulling this up. This is some really interesting data. This is a video that I'm still working on. I haven't put it out yet, but I'll share it with you guys because I know that you guys you want to see something interesting here. So check this out. So this is what I was trying to do here is I was trying to better understand how much money has actually been tokenized so far and how much money has yet to be tokenized, as well as what are the things holding us back from being able to tokenize value more quickly. All right, those are the things that I wanted to address when I was building this video, and this is part of the research on that video. So here is the asset class on the left. Okay, let me just make sure I'm sharing all this correctly. Okay, yes. So here's the asset class. You have real estate, you have bonds, government and corporation bonds, you have US treasuries and debt, you have commodities, which are, gold and other things, and then you have real world assets. Okay, now when you're talking about how much tokenized value has already been tokenized, you can see it's mere, it's just a few billion, 13 to 20 billion. With bonds, it's about 2 billion has been tokenized. US treasuries or debts, $1 billion. Commodities is 1 billion, and real world assets 24 billion. So we're just, at the very front start of this thing. When you're talking about real estate, this is a, 13 to 20 billion out of 300 trillion. That is less than 0.01% has been tokenized so far. When we're talking about government bonds, only 2 billion has been tokenized, 130 trillion to go. That is 0.001% of total tokenized bonds so far. US treasuries, 1 billion. How much still needs to go? 34 trillion. This is just in the United States. That is only 0.003% of tokenization already happening. Commodities, gold and other things, 1 billion out of 13 trillion, just gold alone. That's only 0.01. And then, of course, real world assets, you're talking about a quadrillion-dollar market across asset classes. You're below 0.01%. So we really start to see this, that tokenization is an idea still. We haven't been able to figure out at scale how we're going to bring all of this value on, right? Because you have systems, legacy systems, that still need to communicate with these newer blockchains. The infrastructure needs to be connected, right? And that's what companies like Ripple, Circle, Fireblocks, Hedera, right? These are what these companies are trying to solve at scale, right? And when you're buying into a crypto assets, yes, it has speculation value, right? But what we're trying to get to at the end here is the true value of all of this money coming on chain. All right. Let me see here. I just want to look at some of these comments, see what I missed. Oh, guys, listen. Trump didn't invent the tariffs, right? Biden was doing tariffs have been done for a long time. Okay. The way that tariffs are being used right now as kind of like a weapon is like a new way that is being done, right? And when you ask them questions about why did you select this specific tariff on this specific country, usually the answer to that question doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that is you're absolutely right though. Thank you for sharing that. Dope Prolific says, y'all streets are too narrow for my Ford F-150, F-350 dualies. Man, we only have a few of trucks like that here in Hawaii because there's just not a lot of place to park it. But, you see a few really beautiful trucks, man. I'm sure you have a great one, dude. Yeah, dude, this was also something that, I was looking at just before I came on. I was listening to this that, I don't know. It's probably not the first time in history, but if you're not following what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, Russia has been bombing cities for, since the start of the war. But recently they've been sending a lot of drones and missiles at Kyiv, and it's been killing a lot of innocent people. And so Trump wants to stop the war. He wants to stop the conflict. And he gave Putin, I think, 50 days, and then he changed that to like 10 or 12 days. And so I think there's like 7 or 8 days left on that. But then I think Putin did some escalation today with Belarus and moving a missile system into Belarus by the end of the year. I can't remember what it's called, but it's their super missile. And then Trump said that 2 nuclear powered US submarines are going to kind of sit off the coast of Russia. So there's a lot of tension there too, which I think is causing some panic. That's a well said, older Jen. Thank you for sharing that, man. J Rose says, let's not forget the aliens are coming. Damn, we cannot forget the aliens, man. Cannot forget the aliens, dude. Yeah, dude, that was a pretty funny one, man. Can see Robert Pellegrini says, Sensei, can you explain why most cryptos go up and down with Bitcoin? Yeah, absolutely. Are people selling and buying at the same time? So usually you have Bitcoin dominance, right? And I'd have to look at what Bitcoin dominance is. What is Bitcoin dominance? Let's see here. Let me just pull this up. Bitcoin dominance is a metric that measures the proportion of Bitcoin's market capitalization relative to the crypto market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies combined. It is calculating by dividing Bitcoin's market cap by the total crypto market cap and multiplying by 100 to get a percentage. This metric helps investors and traders understand Bitcoin's market share and can indicate trends in investor sentiment and market dynamics. For example, a high Bitcoin dominance percentage suggests that Bitcoin holds a significant portion of the market. Indices indicating a preference or higher confidence among investors for Bitcoin over the other cryptocurrencies. So if you want like altcoins to rally and pump, you really need Bitcoin dominance to start coming down. Now, when you're looking at the market and you're seeing, other, Bitcoin being sold, Ethereum being sold, XRP being sold, and pretty much everything else, I think that's just average, retail investors that are, worried a bit that the market is going to start turning the other way. And those people are quickly trying to take profits. Now, obviously, some of this is algorithms and supercomputers and institutions with, tens of billions of dollars to trade, but a lot of it too is just regular people trying to make decisions on what they think is best for their portfolio, right? If you think that we're going to go into like a 30-day or a 60-day kind of stall period in the market where we might go back 20-30%, that is an opportunity for people to take profit, right? And to hopefully buy crypto assets back at a lower price. Some people will sell and get out, and some people are trying to get more. So I think it's just market sentiment. You get that in the stock market, you get that here in the crypto market. And, J-Ro says, America. Love that. Love that. It's payback for getting us screwed for the last 50 years. Man, I think there's a lot of crazy shit going on. Jock Spring says, Trump is using our market as leverage to negotiate tariffs. That makes sense, does it not? No, what you're saying absolutely makes sense. But, I would say back to you is you've had almost 120 days to make deals. And right now you have like an outline of a few deals, but you still like if he has a team that's just creating trade deals, where are all the trade deals, right? And you do understand what you're talking about here. You're using your entire US's economic outlook. You're using that as a negotiation tool, right? And it's really not a negotiation tool. It's really like my way or the highway, right? That's been his kind of MO. So as long as you're okay with him using, as long as you're okay with him using America like that, then, you don't see anything, you don't see a problem with that. There are some people that, are a little worried about that. So, just trying to understand both sides of it. But you have a good point there, man. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate you. George Washington invented tariffs. Man, we got to go back to and just, what were you thinking, George? No, tariffs, you need tariffs in certain cases, right? But like, I think the way that we're using them right now might be a little scary for some people, right? Like if you're a business, and we've had people that run businesses in the chat, right? And they said that, they don't really kind of know whether to hire people, whether to fire people, whether to expand their business like that. It puts companies at this, inflection point of uncertainty. And I think that's what people may be worried about. All right. Cool. I'm glad we can have these conversations, guys. Like, I'm glad that we can bring this stuff up and be adults and talk about both sides of this. Cause I think it's very important that, we figure out a place where we can connect again and try to make this all make sense. I think as human beings, we all want to see good things happen. And we have different ways of thinking that we can do certain things to make these good things happen, right? Or what we think are good, but there's also people that we think these are good. Other people think those are bad. And so you have this like constant headbutting when we're just trying to look at the actual data of what's going on so we can make better decisions as traders. All right. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing. All of your feedback is really appreciated, man. Let's see here. Sorry to get off topic. Got a project that's going to change the game. So Michael's saying that he's got a project that's going to change the game. What we were talking about earlier? Please check your email when you get a minute. Okay, Michael, I will do that, man. Let me start this so I can remember to come back to this, but I probably won't check my email in front of, 1,200 people. But later on, I will definitely do that, man. Okay. See here. Brendan Fuchs says, Sensei, part of Jay Claver domino theory is the first domino is disrupting the oil supply. Subs off the coast of Russia. Could this be the start of it? So really, listen, I won't begin to say that I'm an expert in oil trade. I watch a lot of, different channels on YouTube that talk about this stuff. And so I'll just try to give you how I understand this, but I could definitely be wrong. Okay. I understand that, the U.S. is now producing, with the shale revolution since like 2012, the U.S. is a net exporter of like oil and certain things, right? And so we get a lot of our stuff either from like ourselves or we get it from Canada, all right? And we don't really rely on like Saudi Arabia as much as we used to, okay? And Saudi Arabia has been working to de-dollarize, getting away from the U.S. dollar, right? Using the U.S. dollar for oil. And so they've been taking like the yuan and some other things. And so I think there's a real possibility that see, there's a lot of geopolitical events here, right? That's like, how do you stop? The U.S. is thinking, how do I stop Russia and how do I stop China? Okay. And that's why he put like an additional tariff on BRICS countries or countries that are working with BRICS countries against the United States, right? That was one of the tariffs that he put on. But if you want to stop, I think China imports like 90% of everything that they need, right? Oil, food, all of this stuff, right? So if you can stop China from getting either Russian oil or oil from Saudi Arabia, you could really kind of limit China's movement, right? Because they have this big fleet and all these different things. So I think the U.S. has more than enough oil at this point. And so I don't think we're relying on some of these other countries in Europe, but Europe definitely needs Saudi oil, right? And so there's a very big complexity of kind of what you can do to stop this. But I think I don't think the subs have anything to do with oil. I think it's kind of a reaction or a reaction to kind of Putin and Trump butting heads about wanting to stop the war in Ukraine. I think Trump really sees the devastation, and I think he's starting to come around on that. And if we can end all this killing, but it's got to make sense for both sides. That's the tough part. But that's at least how I understand it, Brendan. But if you understand it differently, let me know. Man, can you imagine George Washington? Let me ask you this. If George Washington could buy crypto, what crypto is George Washington buying? I wonder, can we ask an AI that? Should we try to ask Perplexity that? Just to kind of mess around here. If George Washington could buy a crypto asset, which would he buy or be bullish on? Let me see if we get anything here. Imagine which crypto asset George Washington would be bullish on today is naturally speculative. Okay. But it's saying maybe Bitcoin here. Skepticism of fiat and paper money. Washington repeatedly warned about unfunded paper currency leads to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door for every species of fraud and injustice. Damn, people spoke really eloquently back then. Bitcoin would be George Washington's likely pick. Okay, hey, that's fun, man. That is a fun question. Yes, you and I pay the tariffs. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the why people are a little upset about it. It is exactly that. Yeah, you're describing it perfectly. So older gentleman or older gent says, you and I pay the tariffs, ? Yes. What's wrong with the picture? It's hidden tax, product price, and product price plus hidden tax or tariff price. Consumer pays, cause importers are not importing without a profit. Oh yeah, because they're not. Listen, if you run a business, you know that the margins are very important. And some businesses don't have large margins, right? And a lot of businesses, you're competing against other companies, right, to offer the same service. So, maybe your margins are 5%, 10%, 8%. And then if you have a 25% tariff, your margin's blown out of the water. You cannot eat those costs. So it does, it is difficult, man. And it's scary. It's scary, but hopefully things will work out, man. All I can do is hope. Sensei, are you buying more XRP now as it's going down? Listen, if I could scrounge up more money from places, yes, I'd probably be buying more XRP. I do, I make some money off of like my YouTube content and things like that. And I, sometimes do some promotions with companies. I am actively a buyer of XRP. I bought some XRP over $3, and I'll probably buy some XRP if it continues to go down. Yeah, absolutely. Scott Taylor says the biggest problem is that tariffs can affect the small businesses more than the larger ones. Amazon's shake it off. That's, Scott, that's a great point, man. Vinman, you do realize U.S. tariff policies rates were set to screw over U.S. population and benefit foreign countries and politicians. Vin, I think you can definitely find examples of that, right? Because there are corrupt people on both sides of the aisle. There's always been. Right. But I don't think putting a blanket statement out there that all of this is to screw people and this and that. I don't know. If this is how you feel, then you must not like the way that tariffs are being used right now. Right. If this is kind of how you feel. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to better understand your point here. Let's see here. Life with Darnell. What's up, Darnell? If XRP becomes the global bridge for liquidity, what infrastructure or legislation would need to be in place to fully replace SWIFT and the dollar system? And who is pushing for that? Okay. So if XRP becomes a global bridge for liquidity, what infrastructure or legislation would need to pass? So part of it is the Genius Act. That's stablecoin legislation. Okay. But you also need crypto legislation too. So you understand which cryptos fit in which buckets, right? Is this a commodity or is this a security? Or is it something else? You really need to identify those things first. In order to really kind of move trillions of dollars or tens of trillions of dollars at scale, you need liquidity. And only recently has the XRP ledger seen a big injection of liquidity. I don't even think we're close enough to be where we need to be to move that value. So you need laws, you need regulations, you need updates to laws. You need to be able to tokenize value and move it seamlessly on blockchains. You need to be able to have a complete stablecoin regime. You have all of these banks now developing their own stablecoins. What does that look like in the future? Because you got to understand, Bank A, like if you have Chase and you have Bank of America, they're not going to want to hold each other's stablecoin, right? Because now you're taking on a bunch of risk that you probably didn't need to do, right? Like, why would you want to hold JP Morgan stablecoin over holding cash? You wouldn't, right? And so that comes with inherent risk. So if you have all of these banks creating their own technologies from their own stablecoins, if it's not interoperable with other stablecoins, that's going to be a problem. And where XRP or XRP's use case could come in pretty good as a bridge asset is if you build those stablecoins on the XRP ledger, like RLUSD, right? You're able to swap. Right, you could go in from Ripple stablecoin into Bank of America stablecoin into Wells Fargo stablecoin. You could go into each one of them, right? Use XRP as the bridge in between, or RLUSD as the bridge in between, and be able to make that trade, right? But you have to have those systems being able to interoperate with each other. If you don't, it's not going to work. So part of your question here. Part of your question, I was actually researching. So let me pull this back up here. So part of this research that I was showing you guys just a few minutes ago, actually it's this research right here. I was actually getting into this, right? So, this is almost what you're talking about here, but you're talking about, implementation to move all this value, what would need to happen globally to move all of this crypto assets on blockchains, right? And so this is not perfectly your question, but this is close to it. So this is some of the issues that are still being worked out globally. So you have regulatory and legal barriers, global regulatory complexity, asset ownership laws, securities regulations, settlement requirements vary drastically between jurisdictions. Many legal frameworks do not recognize blockchain-based asset records as valid proof of ownership of transfer. So this is also a very big problem globally, okay? Going down here, title legitimacy. For assets like real estate, legal registers that are not digitized or standardized globally, proving and transferring ownership on chain requires deep integration and possibly legal reforms in each jurisdiction. You also have operational infrastructure, incompatible legacy systems, financial institutions, custodians, depositories, and exchanges, each run on different, often decades old technology. Migrating all assets to tokenized systems would require coordination and upgrades across the entire financial ecosystem, not just blockchain adoption. You also have interoperability issues. Multiple incompatible blockchains and disparate standards represent major barriers for unified global scale conversion, especially for private and public markets tied to thousands of different backend systems. So you also have all of these older systems that these banks and institutions that are using. All of these systems can be different from the next one. And so how do you get all of these old systems to upgrade to this new system? And part of that is, ISO 20022 and these type of new messaging standards that allow rich data that could solve some of this, but you still have a lot of technological challenges. And then it says technological constraints, scalability. Current public blockchains cannot handle the required global transaction volumes for trillions in daily asset transfers at enterprise reliability levels. Scale and security remain bottlenecks. You also have custody and identity issues. Robust, secure systems for institutional custody, investor identity, and corporate actions are just emerging and are not yet universal. Economic and human factors. You also have trust and operational risks. Market participants, including government agencies and large asset managers, would be reluctant to risk trillions in new assets on new rails overnight without years of parallel testing and gradual migration. You also, we did talk a little bit about liquidity issues, but hopefully that does answer your question, Darnell, some answer to your question. I'm glad I had that research handy. Sometimes it just works out like that, man. Yeah, Michael, I'll definitely read your email, man. And if it's something, if you're a legitimate company building in the space, I'll definitely, we'll engage in a conversation, but we'll got to make sure that, Corn coin, y'all are wild. George Washington would buy cherry tree NFTs. You're probably right, dude. You're probably white. You're probably right. All right, let's see here. J-Ro says tariffs are causing businesses to move into America, which increases jobs. J-Ro, the jobs data that okay, hold on. So help me understand this. Okay, J-Ro, the jobs numbers from the last 2 months have been revised down to basically show that 258,000 jobs have vanished. Okay, over the last 2 months. If your point here was accurate, you wouldn't see those job numbers declining sharply. You would see jobs numbers, right? You wouldn't see unemployment going up. Unemployment went from 4.1% to 4.2%. Okay, month over month. So if unemployment is rising, new unemployment claims are rising, bankruptcies are rising in the United States. Like these are all like warning signs that you should be paying attention to. Like what you're saying here makes sense, right? You want to bring a business back to America. You want to bring manufacturing back to America, but bringing manufacturing back to America could take years. It could take years. And in the meantime, of all of those years waiting to build new factories and train people and do all of that, the economy is going to hurt. So as long as you're okay with the economy taking a hit and maybe a recession down the line here, as long as you're okay with that, then your logic stands. But I just don't look at it the same way you do. But thank you for your point. Appreciate it. Fast food used to be cheap. Then they realized everybody was addicted to fast food. People are willing to buy it. Hey, man, that's probably true. There's some definitely truth to that. I think Jerome Powell is worried, right? Like he just went through, Jerome Powell was first put in his job by Trump in his first term. Okay. Jerome Powell was able to get inflation down faster than, a lot of other countries. When we went through all that whole thing, that was rough on everybody. All right. But they were able to get inflation down quicker here in America than what's it called? Jerome Powell has said that if it wasn't for all of these, random tariffs, that rates would have probably already came down. Right. And so you start to wonder, like, what would the economy been like without all of these additional tariffs? Like, could you have gotten to where you wanted to go with these trade negotiations without all the tariff threats? And I think that is a logical conversation that we should probably have. We got a new member here. Appreciate you, DeJory Vilsaint. Oh, that's a pretty name, Vilsaint. Love that. Is that your last name? That's a very pretty name. Let's see here. Brandon Folk says, hey, Sensei, have you heard of Onzo token or Onzo Finance? They had a pre-sale a few weeks ago, sold a 1.5 million hard cap within 2 weeks. They launched an exchange. I've never heard of Onzo token. Do you want me to look? Because we can look. Let me see here. About Onzo token. Sometimes I use AI to kind of speed things along here. Onzo token is a new utility token powering Onzo ecosystem, a DeFi platform on the Solana chain. Staking 10 to 50%. You gotta be worried. You gotta be careful with these higher percentages, man. They don't always last forever. Let's see here. Is Onzo a legit project? This will scan and see if there's any kind of issues that people have been talking about online about Onzo. Onzo presents itself as a legitimate DeFi, several signs of authenticity. Yet with all new crypto launches, caution is highly advised. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at some information on Onzo, and if it's something that I think is valuable for the audience, we'll bring it up next time we meet here. Lizard King, good to see you, man. They must destroy old before ushering in the new. Hey, man, you got to burn it all down, right? I can get with that, but you are talking about burning down the whole economy to rebuild it, right? And that could be scary for a lot of people, right? It could be very scary. You really think it's like political like that? Like you think that he's looking at him like, I just want to hurt him? I don't know if that's it. I mean, it's hard to know what's in a man's heart without knowing the person, right? All you can see is their interactions, and they probably don't like each other, Hey, Steven, appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for your time. Lionel Gray, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, man. You got to be careful. Like, anything that promises you a high payoff, usually something's wrong, right? Like if companies could offer you, 10 to 50% on stuff and they would do it, right? They're just not that. Usually when you have 10 to 50%, if you're getting paid out in the same token that you're staking, right, then you just have intense selling pressure. And the issue with that is you need new buying pressure if the token's going to go up. So you see this with a lot of projects that create nodes, right? Nodes that support the ecosystem. You have so much selling pressure from the node holders because they want to recoup their investment. If you don't have the new buyers coming in, you got nothing, right? You got nothing. JJJ, what's up with the government and the SEC not hitting while the iron is hot? They are, JJJ. Did you see this with the Paul Atkins, the SEC, my man? You see this video right here? Oh, that was the end of it. Here.
Today, I should like to discuss what Commissioner Peirce, Hester Peirce, and I are calling Project Crypto, which will be the SEC's North Star in aiding President Trump in his historic efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. The SEC will not stand idly by and watch innovations develop overseas while our capital markets remain stagnant. We're at the threshold of a new era in the history of our markets. As I mentioned earlier, today I'm announcing the launch of Project Crypto, a commission-wide initiative to modernize the securities rules and regulations to enable America's financial markets to move on-chain. The President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets released the PWG report with clear recommendations for the SEC and other federal agencies to build a framework to maintain U.S. dominance in crypto asset markets. This report is the blueprint to make America first in blockchain and crypto technology. We will not watch from the sidelines. We will lead, we will build, and we will ensure that the next chapter of financial innovation is written right here in America.
So Jay, like there's some stuff going on, my man. Like it's not like they're sitting on their hands. I think they're actively doing stuff to make this a better market, but time will tell, my man. But it's a lot better than last cycle, bro. DeJory says, greetings, my brother. I can't understand why so people are refusing to accept the fact that we pay the tariffs. Well, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother question indeed. Some people don't want to be wrong, man. Like it's hard. Like I don't like it. I've seen many clips of this question being brought up to Trump, like, who pays the tariffs? And he still thinks it's for foreign companies that pay the tariffs. So like, I just think there's a education gap with understanding tariffs. And that's why we try to talk about it openly on this channel. And so we can better understand what's happening in the economy, because, the US is the economy that I live in. Everything, happens, in my world is in the United States. And so it's the biggest financial market in the world. You need to be paying attention to what is happening, right? And so I think some people just don't want to be wrong, and it's hard to admit when you're wrong. And I think we've all probably been in a thing when we're wrong and we don't want to admit that we were wrong. So it's tough. I mean, he sees something with tariffs that other people don't, and so it just needs to play out, man. It needs to play out in his head, and usually he comes around when he sees, like, if the stock market continuously is kind of having, multi-trillion-dollar losses in the same week, he probably will push the tariffs out again. Like, there's been the hard part is you've pushed tariffs out so much that countries kind of know all they need to do is just kind of sit and wait. And like, he will get a little antsy and then he will do it himself. So I think that's also a tough one, man. Let's see. How do you borrow from your XRP? Lionel Gray. So, there's multiple ways that I'm hearing people are able to do this. You probably want to talk with somebody that knows how to create a business, like what type of crypto business. What's his name here? Is Curtis here? I don't think Curtis is here, but like Jake Claver, I think, does exactly that. Like, I think he teaches people how to do this. I think it's pretty expensive. I don't know how much it is. I tried to get some information, but it hasn't been very forthcoming on the information. But there are people in the crypto space that do just exact this. They help you set up businesses where you can take loans on your XRP. I just don't know which exact business you need to set up to do that. I think you have to set up like an LLC or something, and you have to, have the crypto wallet under the LLC. I still need to get the details, but maybe there's somebody in the chat that knows. Canman says, I invest in both, and it's frustrating to see all the fantastic news and updates, regulation passing, and the catalyst of some of these tokens with zero movement. Crypto will really test your emotions. Man, it is. This is why I try not to look at prices daily, right? When the prices are up, my emotions are good, man. I'm walking around, I'm skipping, I'm humming, I'm whistling, but when things are down, like I can be pretty sad and pretty depressed about it. And so, with stuff like XRP, I just buy it, and then I don't even look at the day-to-day price swings. It's tough, man. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I think we're in a lot better place than we were a year ago with the crypto market. I think we can all agree on that. And that was all due to, Trump, following through on some of his promises to his supporters and to the American people. So, I really appreciate that he's been doing that, and it's been helpful to a lot of assets. So, can things be better? Can prices go higher? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably right though. I think a lot of these people are controlled by other factors, and I think that's a whole conversation, different conversation. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. Red Panda, what's up? What's up, Red Panda? I am not selling my XRP now. Are you crazy? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say are you crazy. Listen, you should do whatever you think is good for you, right? You need to talk with a financial advisor if you're not sure, but you need to do whatever you feel is best. Now, I can tell you why I'm still going to hold my XRP. And those are some pretty easy and clear reasons in my head. Some of those reasons that I can share with you are this, okay? The SEC and Ripple case has been going on for 4.5 years, okay? In December of this year, it would be 5 years from when they originally were sued, okay? I don't think it'll get to December, but I'm just trying to give you how long this has been, all right? If you get the SEC to withdraw their appeal and the judge settles, just everything is dismissed, no more cross appeals, the case is done, she's going to hit the hammer on the gavel, whatever it is. And that, I think that will create a little bit of FOMO, right? I think people, institutions, or whoever's been sitting on the sidelines waiting for that last piece to drop, those people will be interested in getting into the XRP. Now, once you get the SEC and Ripple case done, now you can start approving spot XRP ETFs, okay? Spot XRP ETFs are going to be a vital piece of inflows into XRP. And what people don't understand is the market cap multiplier on those inflows is going to be enormous, okay? JP Morgan analysts predict that anywhere from $3 to $8 billion could go into XRP in the first, 12 months. Now, the demand could be even larger than that, but that is what they think can happen. And now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Sensei, the market cap of XRP is 200 and let me show you. The market cap for XRP, Sensei, is 175 billion. What is $8 billion going to do for me? Who cares, right? I totally understand. So what you don't understand is probably the market cap multiplier effect on the inflow. Okay, so crypto assets are inherently illiquid. They don't have a lot of liquidity. So it's not a 1-for-1. It's not a $1 goes into the, the inflow and it changes the market cap $1. That's not how it works. I've shown tirelessly examples on my videos and even in these live streams of market cap multipliers for XRP being anywhere from 100x to 600x. Okay. Now that won't last forever, but just to give you an example, Bitcoin was at like 2.3 or 2.4 trillion. There's still like a 70x multiplier with Bitcoin on inflows. Okay. Now it can go inflows and outflows. So the market cap can change drastically either way. But if you bring in, let's say, $1 billion, okay, into inflows into XRP, and you have a 500x multiplier, okay, that's a $500 billion in market cap added for that $1 billion, okay? That would triple the market cap of XRP right now for $1 billion if the market cap was 500, multiplier is 500x. So I am not selling my XRP right now for any reason. And those are just two of the main reasons. Other stuff is like the Genius Act and stable coins. You're talking about crypto regulation being passed here soon. That can have an effect too with banks and institutions and new partnership announcements. I think there's a lot of things that people are underestimating that can really impact the market for good that are coming up. So that is, I hope that was valuable for you, man. Is that BitConnect? Is that what we're talking about? Is that the multi-billion-dollar scam? I think that's what you're talking about. TVs are cheap. Buy one. What are we talking about here? Let me see here. Scott says the XRP army is the reason so many financial institutions want those ETFs. there you go, right? There's demand. Where there is demand, institutions will follow, right? Bitcoin ETFs, $150 billion. $150 billion in inflows. Okay. Now you probably have like 1/10 or 1/12 of the holders that hold XRP, compared to Bitcoin. Maybe it could be even a little higher than that, actually. I think there's like 6 million XRP wallets, but sometimes people have multiple wallets. So there's might be only like 2 million or 3 million people that actually own XRP, but there's like 50 something million people that own Bitcoin. So it's difficult to kind of drill down on those numbers, but even if you got 10 or 20 billion dollars in 12 months into XRP, that could play a significant role in the price, man. Significant role. Any thoughts on midnight drop? My apologies if I already talked about. Andrew, never apologize, man. Feel free to ask those questions. I haven't seen any recent information or updates. I did recently, the Midnight Team, I don't know if it's the Midnight Team or it's somebody else, but I got an email claiming they're from the Midnight Team. And so we're just trying to source that out if that's, a legitimate, team, legitimate people from the Midnight Team reaching out to us. But I'm sure, they're going to be doing a lot of conversations and talks and things like that coming up. So as soon as I have more data, I'll put it into some of my videos and my content, and I'll bring these into these live streams and we can talk about it together. Okay. But thank you, Andrew, for the question. I appreciate you, man. Scott Taylor says, we worry about tariffs, but probably need to focus on more of our individual wasting and spending. Hey, true that, man. True that. We are so privileged to live in the US, and we have a credit problem. We have a big credit problem, but also like delinquencies are up too, right? Like that's another big problem. I mean, Americans love to borrow and spend money that they don't have. I've been guilty of that for many years of my life, and only recently, I've been like if you notice my content, I wear like 4 shirts. I have a salmon shirt, like a pinkish shirt. I have a green shirt. I have a black shirt. I have a blue shirt, and then I have a few like collared shirts. Since moving back to Hawaii, I have found that I've had slacks and dress shirts and all of these things for years of my life. Now I could just be, I could wear my Target shirt and my Costco shorts. But yeah, we love to spend, and we love to spend money we don't have. And at some point there will be consequences for that. And I think we've seen the US's financial status being downgraded over the last few years, and that's also going to play an issue. Can you imagine if the US dollar wasn't the world reserve currency, what that would do to us? That would be really bad, right? And that's also scary. But thank you for sharing, man. Appreciate you. It's Triple J, by the way, but I appreciate it, bro. Triple J. I like that. It's like I was gonna say it's like Triple H, but I don't know if you want to be compared to Triple H. I do apologize. He was just fresh in my mind. I think Trump just, he just joined the administration to do something, right? I remember him from like old wrestling days. I don't know if anybody watched wrestling, in like the early 2000s or whatever, or late 90s. But anyways, let's see here. James Ryle says, yeah, but are we losing money because we can't send our stuff overseas, so we manufacture less? Yeah, manufacturing jobs are down. Like, absolutely. It's a real issue. It's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, America's biggest export is dollars. Lizard King, you're absolutely right, man. Thank you for sharing that. Well, the market usually rebounds because he kind of pushes the tariffs back, right? That's the reason the market rebounds. If he puts the line in the sand and he stays on that line, what do you think are going to happen with the markets? And I think like also too, the reason the stock market has done so well is because it's retail investors. It's not institutional investors. Institutions have been kind of taking money out and are sitting on the sidelines. Like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett often goes to a really big cash position before he sees turmoil in stock market, right? Usually like bear markets, and he's in a huge cash position right now. You start to wonder, like, what is he seeing that maybe other people are not? So I think, this kind of goes both ways, Rick, but I appreciate you sharing, man. Thank you for doing that. Lionel Gray, appreciate you, man. Thank you for always being here, man. Great to see you. Triple J, what about PIP PL, is that Pulse? Is that Pulse Chain? Triple J? If it's Pulse Chain, well, thank you so much for the $9.99. Luna thanks you. Any donations to the channel go to my dog Luna, who's sleeping. We buy her some really fancy treats, so I appreciate you, man. But can you just confirm, is that Pulse Chain that you're talking about? Pulse X? Canman says, in my opinion, I feel there's a huge retail lag and adoption of crypto. We are like the beta stage of this revolution. We're ahead looking into the future until rest of the world catches up just to hold. Well, I think it'd be silly to say like, we're ahead of the rest of the world. I think we're trying to catch up to the rest of the world, right? Because, the European Union passed regulation, in 2023. And that went into effect at the end of last year in 2024. So there are places that are ahead of the United States right now as far as regulation. And so I think the US is trying to catch up, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. I think I'm very happy with the last, 6 or 7 months of what the Trump administration has been able to push forward. Now, I would love to see, I felt like we moved away from the conversation about supporting American companies and American innovation in the crypto space, right? Because remember, that was one of the big pushes that, when they first got in, we're going to buy XRP and Solana and ADA, and then nothing came from that. And so, I've been kind of hounding Bo Hines on X, asking him, what is the plan? Are you guys just going to buy Bitcoin? Right. And if so, where's the money going to come from? Right. What is the actual plan? And then how much crypto does the US actually own? They just put out that 160-page report, which I probably should have had some information on that. I do apologize now, but they just released a 160-page report, and nowhere in the report does it talk about how much crypto the US actually owns. And so I would like to see more movement in that area, but I'm very happy with where we have gone so far. And I think, where we can be in the next few months with crypto regulation being passed and signed, I think that would be a huge, huge deal. Dude, I know, man. I know, bro. Do you think it's going to happen, Shrimp? Big Shrimp? You think it's going to happen? Dude, could you imagine though? Could you imagine just for a second, you just wake up one day and XRP's gone from just a few dollars to $500? I think I would go straight to the fridge. I have a bottle of chilled champagne in the fridge. And when you see racers, they win a race and then they shake the bottle and they spray champagne all over themselves. I think I would be doing one of those, man. I would be doing one of those for sure. Oh, you know what? I didn't check numbers today. How are we looking? Are we close to 100K? I know we're so close to 100K right now. Oh, shoot. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Look at this. We are at 99,904 subscribers. Oh, so incredible. So incredible, man. I did want to say something quickly though here, and I'll get back to your questions in just a second. But I just want to hold on. Let me just pull this up on my phone here so I can make sure I say the right thing here. I just want to say my wife was awarded the Spirit of Excellence at First Hawaiian Bank Q2 2025. And I just want to congratulate her and all her hard work. And I know she's extremely happy today. She just got, she came home with the news yesterday, and I'm very proud of her, and I love her very much. I just want to say, keep going. And, it's a really beautiful moment for her. I'm really happy. All right. Let me just scroll down here. There's a lot of things said. Lonzo Turner's back, man, dropping that SHX stuff. Another interesting fact on SHX main headquarters down the street from Ripples. Lonzo, hey, it wouldn't be a stream without you coming in with SHX information, man. I'd love to see you, brother. Two big paws. You are my new favorite channel by far, bro. Love your honest and balanced approach, shooting down rubbish, researching claims. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Man, it's this whole thing is just a trip for me, you know, like I didn't get into wanting to help people understand crypto for, you know, fame or clout or followers or any of that stuff. I just really wanted to help people understand this. That's something that I was so passionate about and something that I cared so much about, you know, and it's just been an honor, man. It's just been an honor. Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Let's see here. So AJ says, hey, Crypto Sensei, how does a price pump work after a price drop? I mean, you know, price drops usually happen when people take profits, and price pumps usually happen when people are kind of FOMOing or they want to get access to something. So, you know, it's healthy in every market to get, you know, price pumps and price dumps. I think we've actually been really lucky so far in 2025. Does anybody remember 2022 and 2023? Does anybody remember Terra Luna collapsing? Does anybody remember FTX collapsing? Those two things were awful. Like I didn't think we were coming back from a lot of that stuff. So, you know, just to see these things happen recently with these smaller dips, man, I know they look like serious dips, but we are going to experience bigger dips ahead. We are going to experience more black swan moments. We are going to experience more market shifts. And, you know, you just got to learn how to, you know, dust it off, man. Like, it's very difficult to call a black swan event. But anyways, we're getting kind of crazy out here. Lonzo, I got to read this. What says Can Man? Oh, you're talking about Can Man about Stronghold. Okay. I thought you were talking about me. I saw one of your videos with 4 shirts and thought you made all the videos the same day, aka per shirt. Yeah, dude. Like, so I have like 3 black shirts. I have like 3 blue shirts. I have like 2 green ones. I have 2 salmon shirts. So I have multiple versions of these shirts. I just like them. They're extremely comfortable. They fit really well. You know, when you get to 40 years old, you're thinking like, hey man, I'd rather be comfortable at home than like super fancy. So, oh my goodness, I need to scroll down on some of these comments, but I think I'm like 20 minutes back here on comments. I do apologize. Let's see here. Big Shrimp says, Sensei, what are your thoughts on private OTC purchase to suppress the market? So I understand the thought that private markets do suppress prices, but you have to think about this. If there were people buying a lot of XRP, you obviously want that to happen on the public markets, right? Because you want that price action. But if a massive holder was selling, you want them on the private market, right? You don't want them on the public market because you don't want the price to dip. So I think we all we want the best thing, but we don't want the worst thing. But it's kind of one of those things that is just there, and it does facilitate whales buying in and out without creating this major market volatility, right? And I think, you know, up to a certain point, those are good things to have these different OTC markets. But I've also seen OTC markets completely wreck newer crypto projects, right? I'll give you an example. I won't tell you the project, but there was this project that was building in blockchain. They were building blockchain. They were building, God, I can't even remember freaking all the aspects of it. But IPFS, right? They were storage. Okay. They were wanting to get into decentralized storage. And they had sold a lot of OTC tokens, because they needed some investment to invest in, you know, marketing and the team and whatever else. But, you know, how much money that they took in OTC, if that money would have been, you know, bought on regular charts, that probably would have helped the project stay in the limelight. With all of those major people buying behind the scenes and setting up nodes and then taking rewards out, that helped kind of speed that progress and you know, the negative growth of that project. So in OTCs in bigger markets, I'm totally okay with. OTC on brand new tokens, I'm not okay with. Pulse X, you know, Triple J, I don't know much about PulseX, man. I know that there was some drama with Richard Hart, but like I don't follow the play by play. I'm definitely like, if you have an XRP question or like Bitcoin or Ethereum or stable coins or regulation or ISO compliance or the tokenization of financial products, like I'm your man, you know, come see me. But when it comes to PulseX, I just couldn't give you value, man. So I won't even try, but I appreciate you. Yeah, we're getting very close. We're getting very close to 100K. It's crazy. It's crazy. I got a bottle of champagne. I got a bottle of champagne in my fridge for this. You know, it's special, man. And I owe all of this. I owe all of this like to you guys, because without your time and without your support and without your love and your appreciation, I couldn't be at home making this content, you know, and so trust me, I really appreciate everybody. It doesn't matter kind of what, you know, where you live in the world or what you look like or, you know, what side of the political aisle you're on. I love each and every one of you. So thank you for all your support. And I really, really do appreciate you. Yeah, man. I'm so happy. Yeah. So her name is spelled Thaissa. That's how you spell her name. And it's okay. I'll tell you the story. So my wife and I have been together for over 10 years. September, it will be 11 years. Okay. And my family is not, you know, my family's not the best when it comes to long-term relationships. Right. And, you know, I didn't know what marriage was going to be like, or, you know, how I was going to get through it. But I do know that if I probably didn't find somebody that I could like deal with their stuff and they could deal with all of my emotionalness and my craziness and my hyperness, you know, I probably wouldn't still be here. Right. And so, you know, she's definitely helped me get through a lot of things in life, and I owe her the world. So, you know, she means the world to me, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, Christopher. Long live Theta 99040. Yeah, it's going up. Oh, wait. It's not 40, is it? No, it's 99907. So we need 83 left. We need 83 more. 83 more. Wait. Do I not know how to count? Yeah, 93 more. Excuse me, 93 more. We need 93 more. But thank you guys. I appreciate all the kind words that you're saying. Thank you so much. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you guys are so cool, man. My brother, you're already there with 100K. Congratulations, both you and your wife, and your continued success. DJoy. DJoy. Thank you so much, man. And I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, send me a message on Twitter with the correct pronunciation of your name, and I swear I will get it right. DMT 589 multiplier. Yep, 589, dude. 589. Jonathan, thank you so much. I appreciate you. But listen, you know, only subscribe if you like the content, right? Like if you show up every day and you don't like the content, man, I don't expect you to stay subscribed or just give me a subscription for any reason. Like I really want to be able to earn that subscribe, but I really appreciate you, man. And I'm looking forward to growing with you. So thank you so much. Brandon Folk says, I've had my wife calling me this morning. I text her. I can't talk right now because I'm watching Crypto Sensei live. Oh man, I'm gonna owe your wife an apology. I feel like, Brandon, I'm gonna have to say sorry, beg for her forgiveness. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What's an FTX? Yeah, man. You know what an FTX is. I'm just worried. Like, what do you guys think the next Black Swan event will be? Like, I think it's important that we at least talk about this, because there's a lot of new people that are getting into crypto right now that just don't know what that is, right? And, you know, part of watching this channel and being a part of this community is, you know, we discuss topics that are difficult, right? And, you know, we had a really long conversation about tariffs today, and I appreciate everyone sharing their opinions. And, you know, that's tough to do in this day and age. And so I really appreciate both sides of all of that conversation, but I'd like to understand, like, what do you guys think could be some really negative impacts on the crypto market coming up? Like, do you guys see anything on the horizon right now that you're worried about that we should be talking about? I'd love to better understand that if anybody has any feedback on that. You're getting a silver YouTube award. I know. That's going to be really cool. I think like after a week of hitting it, I can apply for it. And so I'm really happy. I'm really excited, man. It's really cool. World Liberty Financial Token. Is that what you're talking about? Deepak? I think you're talking about World Liberty Finance. Just confirm if that's what you're talking about, Deepak, so I can make sure that we talk about that, okay? Oh, Christopher, man, I appreciate you, man. How about AI and Theta Network? Long live Theta. You probably know a lot more about Theta than I do. I didn't even realize Theta was still, is it still going strong? Are they still, updating the ecosystem? You got to give me some information. I couldn't. Oh, Kate, great to see you, Kate. Victor says, do you think the current FUD out there in the XRP community gets shaken out earlier than expected? Victor Garcia, are you talking about like the Chris Larson sales? Is that what we're talking about? What FUD exactly? Because I mean, I would just be guessing. So if you could let me know exactly what you're talking about, I'd love to address that for you, Victor. Thank you, Deepak. Congratulations in Tian. Okay. All right. I'm saying it right, brother. Perfect. Now we don't have to have an awkward conversation of how I say your name properly, but I've had a lot of those before in the past, so I'm ready for it. Long Live Data says, I know Mitch Liu just cut a partnership with AWS. It's on Medium. Theta Network and AWS joined forces to launch custom Amazon AI chips, Tranium and Infertia. I don't even know how to say that, man. And on Edge Cloud. See, like AI is, I don't even know where to start with AI. I know that I really like using, I know kind of like I've become more used to using like Perplexity for my searches than using Google at this point. I think it's kind of helped me learn more quickly. But you got to let me know if that's going to do wonders for us, man. I have a question. I know you made a video on this. Do you think that by 2030 XRP could hit 500? Yeah, so absolutely. So I think the next cycle, will be the utility cycle, right? If you look, Raoul Paul, let me see if I can find the clip, man. Let me see if I can find the clip. Hold on. Let me see. Raoul. Oh shoot. How do you use this? Raoul Paul. So, was it R-A-O-U? Okay. R-A-O-U-L Paul 100 trillion market cap. I'm looking for a specific video. I found it. Okay, here you go. So let me share this with you. All right. I think this is the right clip.
Sovereign wealth funds. And the mandate across the entire region, from Saudi to Abu Dhabi to Dubai to Bahrain to Qatar, is AI and blockchain. And not just using Bitcoin as a reserve asset, but also building the entire government infrastructure on blockchain, driving licenses, property deeds, the whole bloody lot. So it's it's fascinating to see. And then a lot of people say to me, well, if all of this money's coming in from the sovereigns, that may produce an outside return. And I'm thinking, well, if we're going from 3 trillion to 100 trillion, which is my estimate by just extrapolating out the trend rate of growth, you need larger players each time because the market cap is bigger, right? There's no way you're going to get to 15 trillion this cycle unless you've got bigger players. So it's kind of, I don't think it's what people think it is. I think it's just a function of the size of the market. The bigger it becomes, the more that those people are involved. And the more blockchain technology gets used, the more it uses the alts for infrastructure rails, for new forms of compute and storage and all the other things that are coming. So I just thought it was interesting because everyone's like, oh my God, it's a super cycle because of this. I'm starting to err towards, well, we've talked about this before, a longer cycle, just because the business cycle is still below 50.
So generally, it takes a while to climb up, and then we use the GMI Financial Conditions Index, and that has a 9-month lead. And with the dollar breaking down, even today, it's starting to suggest that this could not. This may go even into Q2 2026. So it's like the whole cycle got shifted because rates didn't get adjusted and the dollar was sideways for a period of time. So it feels that potentially there is a chance, and again, there's no guarantees in this world, that we're more like 2020 than we are in 2021.
Yeah,
or it's very also it's
interesting. I didn't I was looking for this clip actually personally, but that clip is really interesting. But let me play this and we'll get into
the big one. This is your chance to make wealth, and not only can you make a bit of wealth, it's the fastest appreciating asset class in all of human history. So you can catch up really fast.
There it is.
So you just have to get involved and start that journey. But it will level the playing field for millions of people. So my view is it goes from a $3 trillion asset class today to 100 trillion in 10 years' time. So we're only 3% of the way there. And if you put it in different terms, that means there is $97 trillion of wealth that's going to get made.
Yeah.
People are going to make a lot of money, but it's not a few people. It's not like the tech barons or the bankers. This is like, well, Binance has 260 million customers. Now, you could lift 260 million people to change their lives. Okay, that's a big deal. There's 500 million crypto accounts around the world. So you can change 500 million lives. And if you speak to CZ or you speak to the others, they'll say, we want to have 1 billion people, 2 billion people. Well, if you can change 2 billion people's lives, that's a quarter of the world. So it's a very, very big.
All right. So, when I listened to that, right, we were talking about Horror Flippy was asking about, do I see a $500 or $1,000 XRP by 2030, right? What I was trying to show you with those clips is that I think there's a lot of market to come, right? And maybe this cycle we get to, 6, 8, 10 trillion, but over this cycle and the next cycle, we should be getting close to $100 trillion market cap for the crypto industry. And, just looking at XRP's growth over the last 6 to 12 months has been enormous, right? I think XRP was like 2% of the entire crypto market. Now it's 4%, right? Where's XRP going to be in 6 months or 12 months? Will it represent 5% or 8% of the entire crypto market, right? As these ETFs gets approved, as the EVM sidechain gets built out, and as more utilities built on the XRP ledger, all requiring XRP, we're going to start reducing circulating supply. When we have institutions setting up treasuries for XRP, companies that are setting up treasuries like we're seeing with Bitcoin, like we're seeing with Ethereum, that's also going to reduce circulating supply. That's going to put new buying demand for XRP. So can I see a $500 or $1,000 XRP over the next 5 years? Absolutely. We still need a lot of really good things to happen, but these are the things that I believe in my heart and soul. Obviously, if they don't happen, I will be sad, and we'll have to address new information as it comes. But I do think this is a very real possibility. USDT is falling, man. Wouldn't that be some shit? Like that would be, or is that what we're talking about with the black swan event? USDT kind of collapsing. Christopher says absolutely right. Absolutely, the fight from JP Morgan and the people that have started the campaign to fight Ripple and their banking license. That is the next black swan event. You know what? Hey, you might absolutely be right, man. I might absolutely be right. Sensei, I really don't understand how XRP can get over $200 with market cap. Okay, yeah, I get it. So most people think about market cap one for one, right? I think we did talk about market cap multipliers maybe like 15 minutes ago. And the demand for an asset like XRP could become more and more as time goes on. Okay. As regulation comes, as stablecoins become a more normal conversation for banks and institutions, right? Ripple is going to work with more partners to launch stablecoins. I was working on a video earlier about CME derivatives demand, right? CME is the biggest derivatives exchange in the world. And the demand for XRP has been the third highest demand on record. First was the first day of trading was Bitcoin, I think at $102 million in trading. Second was Ethereum at like $31 or $32 million in trading the first day. And XRP was third with $19 million in trading. The Solana was the fourth highest at 12.3 million or something. So there's huge institutional demand for this asset. Now, when we're talking about reaching a higher price, right, you need to stop thinking like, because you're thinking about to get to a $200 price. Let's just pull what the market cap would be. What does the market cap need to be for XRP to reach $200? Let's just take a look here, because this is what's getting you stuck. Let's just try to address this really quickly and answer your question. For XRP, okay, 11.6 trillion. Okay, so now you're looking at this number and you're saying, Sensei, that's pretty much like how much money is in, half all the gold in the world, right? There's no way. Okay. But what you really don't understand is that you don't need $11 trillion to go into XRP to reach an $11 trillion market cap. That's the disconnect that you have. Okay. Remember, these crypto assets are very illiquid. It's not a 1-for-1 with market cap, with inflows to market cap change. Okay. It is a 100x to a 500x difference. Okay. So for $1 that you bring in, it could change the market cap $100 to $500. Okay. So if you brought in, let's say $100 billion in volume over 5 years for XRP, okay, you'd think, oh, it's just going to change the market cap 100 billion. Well, it might change the market cap 5 or 10 or 15 trillion just for that inflows of 100 billion. Okay. We don't know what the inflection point of the market cap multiplier will be at. Like, what point is it 1-for-1? But even Bitcoin at a 70x, even Bitcoin today is at like a 70x market cap multiplier at a 2.5 trillion. So it's not going to take as much money as you think. And plus, there's not as much XRP on exchanges as people think too. And as more demand wakes up for XRP, you're going to see demand on exchanges, or XRP on exchanges, diminish. I hope that was helpful, man. Yeah, Deepak. So World Liberty Financial, let me see here. Let's just see if we can look up some information on this. I think, like, isn't it just like an Aave token? Can you break down World Liberty Financial, what the token actually does? Can it be traded? I'm not a World Liberty holder, so I'm gonna have to look at this data really quickly here with you. Let's just pull this up. Let's look at this together, Deepak. So World Liberty Financial is a decentralized finance DeFi launched in 2024, closely associated with the Trump family. It claims to be inspired by Trump, with explicit involvement of Donald Trump's family, and has drawn both investor interest and controversy due to perceived conflicts of interest. Well, we don't really care about that. Origins and purpose. The World Liberty Financial token was first distributed to investors after the project's launch in late 2024. Initially, the token mostly served as a governance role. So the token's more of a governance role, right? Voting rights holders can vote on changes to the project rules, code, emission schedules, and protocol policy. The hope among early purchasers that Trump's public backing would boost both the appeal and the future value. World Liberty governance shift. In July 2025, a governance vote overwhelmingly approved making World Liberty Financial tradable on the open market. So before this point, it wasn't even tradable on the open market. And so the community voted to make it tradable because they basically bought something that they couldn't trade, which kind of sucks, right? And so 99% of the community voted to do the transitioning from closed governance asset to fully tradable asset. The goal is to broaden participation, allow price discovery, and align with more open, decentralized DeFi standards. It can tradability as of mid-2025. World Liberty Financial is in the process of being unlocked for public trading, with full unlocking expected within the next 2 months of July 2025. Not all tokens will be immediately available for trade. Those held by the team and advisors are subject to longer unlock schedules. Where can it be traded? DEXs, blah, blah, blah. Price and value. World Liberty's financial price is not set by the market, resulting in high volatility. Quotes across exchanges show prices ranging from fractions of a cent to around 76 cents, with massive price swings and differences across platforms. Taking that information in, I think you just need to be careful, because if you're buying something that is not yet tradable, who are you going to sell it to? Let's see here. Recurve B says, I worry Jay Claver is correct If this all happens, XRP may come out on top, but it would be a wild ride. Yeah, man. And it would take you holding through all of the wild ride too, right? At some levels of this, people are going to get either uncomfortable and sell, or people are going to see a price and they're like, I don't need any more than this, right? This is more than enough money that I can spend in my lifetime. I'm cashing out. So, there's going to be, holding through all of these different things. If they do play out like Jake has suggested, that could be very interesting. You're going to need a lot of belief in yourself and a lot of belief in the markets. Kate says Black Swan could be so many things at this point, hacked or power grid. Kate, we didn't even think about that. Appreciate you sharing that. Let's see here. DeJory says, I feel like tariffs has the ability to really shake this market up really bad. I do pray that our president will change his mind. Yeah, I think that a lot of people feel like that. I think a lot of people are worried about, how tariffs can impact the overall economy and people's checkbooks, right? And I think that's a worry for a lot of people. Thank you for bringing that up. Recession. So Canman says, I say recession blows up everything and hope J Powell isn't too late to drop. I won't begin to know what it's like to have all of that pressure on you. It's not just Jay Powell. It's isn't it 12 board of governors that decide on rates, right? Dropping those and raising rates. It's not just him. Like, he's out there. He's the spokesperson. He's the chairman, but it's also a group of other people that decide. And I think a lot of people miss that part too. Raz, good to see you, man. How you doing? 589. Yeah, 589 is trippy, right? 589 and 985. You start to wonder why, right? Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple have both of those. Hey, it's always good to sleep in, man. My wife, she wakes up at 5 every single day, and I'm like, no, don't. Because if she wakes up, the dog wakes up, and man, sometimes I just want to sleep in. I feel you. Let me see here. DTCC makes us rich. That's what we're hoping, right? That's what we're hoping. I think a lot of people are hoping that too. Al Kid, thank you for the $4.99. I really appreciate you. Your donation, much appreciated. Chipper's here. Great to see you, Chipper. Really, really do appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Lusk says Ripple releases a little bit of escrow every month, which holds the price down, which is smart so that institutions could buy low, but holds us captive. So there's 38 billion or 39 billion still in escrow, supposed to be unlocked over the next 42 months. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason they did that was because they didn't want so much XRP circulating at one time, and they really wanted to control and be, good stewards of the escrow. And I can see your argument though, right? You are worried about, future unlocks and what that can do to the price. And that resonates with me, man. Appreciate you sharing that. Let's see here. Kemen says, since South Asian countries are being one of the biggest users of XRP and the UK, etc., ahead of us, XRP needs to giddy up. Yeah, man. I feel you, man. I feel you. Let's see here. Alonso says Ripple will be too big to fail very fast. Yeah, I mean, they're getting to the point where Ripple has an enormous war chest, man. Enormous war chest. Raz, you know what? You talking about Spark token? Is that what we're talking about? Spark token operates cross-chain capital allocator, managing 8.1 billion. Why does this sound so familiar? I feel like, when you just talk for like 2 hours straight and your brain kind of gets fried. I think I'm at that point. Hold on, let me look here. Spark. Where have I heard this before, dude? Hold on. Spark. Hold on, let me look at this website. Where have I heard this before, dude? Spark token. Are they building on the XRP ledger? I was looking at the website. Sorry, I should have had that up on the screen here. I do apologize, guys. Sometimes I forget to click the button, but I think this is what you're talking about, right, Russ? Just want to make sure. Chipper, I know Chipper's here. Always good to see Chipper, man. What are your thoughts on Crow? I mean, crypto.com is one of the biggest exchanges in the United States. And as long as there's going to be a demand for crypto, crypto.com should do okay. Obviously, I don't know what it's like working at crypto.com and what their internal conversations are with their team and things like that. But, as long as they do well, the token should do well. But it's one thing to have a token, but it's one thing to have people building in the ecosystem. And I think that was what we were missing in the XRP space for quite some time is hundreds or thousands of people building, the next generation of infrastructure. And that's what, we really need. And so I know crypto.com was very popular last cycle. I haven't followed through with it too much. Spark Energy. Oh, well, then I'm definitely on the wrong thing then. Let's see here. N says, I think I was being scammed. Is there a current Spark Flare XRP offer? No. So, was there ever? I know there was a Flare. The Flare snapshot was like years ago, and there's no new snapshot. There's no new snapshot. Always if you're looking for accurate information, make sure that you're following like Ripple's real account or like Ripple dev count. Maybe you can get some information from there, but I don't think there's any new airdrop. At least that I could be just not remembering something, but I'm sure there's people in the audience that know too. Yeah, there he is. There he is. I was looking for you in the audience. What's up, brother? Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, listen, Jerome Powell's term's up in 26, like early 26, right? So like Trump will be able to put like Scott Bessent or somebody in there that he maybe can control. The only issue is, I know a lot of people have different understandings or reservations or concerns about the Fed and the way that they do their thing. And I know that we all like to be armchair quarterbacks and say that I would have done this differently or you should have done this differently. But, they have an entire, U.S. economy to worry about and to look out at. And, sometimes that means making hard decisions that people don't agree with and you not folding into the pressure of what other people want. And if the president has control over the person to set policy on what he wants, I'll tell you what'll happen. This is very simple. We kind of saw this early kind of COVID days, right? If you bring rates all the way down to pretty much nothing for too long, and you are printing money or spending too much money, which we are both doing, that is going to have a negative impact on inflation. And I think, everybody could remember the last 5 years that inflation has been really terrible and it's hit every single person's pocketbook. And unless you have, too much money that you don't worry about spending money, which not a lot of people do, that could be a problem. And so when you have all of these additional tariffs, which are additional taxes on people and businesses, and then you have inflation that could start ticking up, and then you're spending too much money like all of this stuff is going to have a head somewhere, right? And what will happen is the US dollar will lose its dominant standing in the world because nobody will want to hold US debt or these types of things. So I think there's a whole cascade of things that we're not talking about when it comes to this, but something that I'm worried about. Absolutely. But thank you for sharing that, man. Lexa Garcia, good to see you, man. How's it going? XRP about to green on today. Nova Crypto, thanks for sharing that. Hey, Lizard King, thanks for being here, man. Thank you for all of your comments and sharing all your stuff, man. I really appreciate you. Always nice to see you, man. I hope you're well. Have a good weekend, my brother. So Charles Mink. Charles, what's up, man? I remember your PFP. Does XRP have more utility than Ethereum? Can it match its price? I have only invested in crypto for a couple months, but from what I've learned, it seems that XRP is a no-brainer, but I have no idea. So listen, the reason institutions, and there's been so much development and deployment on Ethereum, is because of its smart contract functionality. And the XRP ledger didn't have that for forever, right? Until recently. And we just got the EVM sidechain due to Persist and was it Axlar? Axlar. I always get ArcX and Axlar confused in my head, so I do apologize if it's what's it called. But I think people that are building smart contracts and these like liquidity and these different tools, a lot of institutions are looking to build on Ethereum or a layer 2s on Ethereum, like Arbitrum or Base. Ethereum definitely has a place to stay here. Now, when it comes to XRP, I think people can understand XRP better than they can understand Ethereum, because with Ethereum, you're talking about smart contracts and all these things, and it gets complicated if you're not a developer. But people can understand, like, hey, it's a bridge asset, and these institutions need something in between all of these different. If you're going to be sending gold or Bitcoin or a stock or a bond or a derivative or real estate or tokenize this or tokenize that, you might need a bridge asset. And the XRP ledger was the first DEX, right? And so you being able to exchange anything for anything else on value on the chain is super important. And I think the demand for institutions as well as stablecoin issuers, you'll start to see more development and deployment on the XRP ledger because of that. And will XRP overtake Ethereum one day? I believe it will. I think there's a really strong case for it. And we'll see how all this plays out, man. Thank you for your question. I don't know if I helped you in any way, shape, or form there. Spark's liquidity flow taps into Sky stablecoin reserves to fund lending and yield strategies, supporting better yields and slippage. I mean, dude, there's going to be a big place for all of that. So it sounds like you definitely got a winner there. I should take some time to understand it better. I do apologize, man. I sometimes get overwhelmed, like in my own head, in my own thoughts, in my own research, and I just completely forget other stuff. So, but thank you for sharing it. I will spend some time with it. Brock Reeves, hey Sensei, is XRP going to drop lower than 290? Hold on. I'm just kidding. I don't. It could happen. Absolutely, man. If the market continues to dip, we could go lower. Absolutely, dude. 100%. Part of that is policy. Part of that is interest. We could have some issues going ahead. Absolutely, but those issues could be kicked down the road another 3 months, and the market will continue to rally. So I think we're just cooling off a bit here. Might be an opportunity for some. Sonnet, hi from Thailand. Appreciate your channel, Sensei. Learning a lot. Love that. Love that. Great to have you here, man. Always a pleasure. XRP King, good to see you, man. Let's see here. Ken, man, absolutely. The ETFs alone is enough to throw some money into it. Yeah, dude. ETFs, like, if you are not thinking about the ETF approvals for XRP, like, you need to spend some time understanding that, really, because that's going to play a vital role about XRP's price in the future. Absolutely, man. Kindly explain. Hey, what's up, N? Kindly explain why it is advisable to profit each cycle. Okay, so N, anytime you're talking about like taking profits and why you should do this and why you should do that, you need to talk with a financial advisor. I'm definitely not that, dude. I sit next to a seal and a Mandalorian, a Mickey Mandalorian. So, I can't give you any financial advice. I can tell you, psychologically, what people believe is that we're still in these 4-year cycles, and that if people don't take profits when they think, the market's at its high, in the bear market, you could go down 70, 80, 90% on some of these assets. And that's very well going to happen, right? We are not at a place, we're not at an inflection point yet where these crypto assets it's full utility and full utility prices. We're all still speculating on the values of these assets. And there's a lot of road ahead. And Some people are going to take profits and pay those taxes or not pay those taxes. You know, there's some people that don't do that. You know, there's all kinds of different people out there. I could tell you that, you know, it's better to pay your taxes than have the tax man come visit you. But you're going to do what you're going to do. So a strategic investor is looking at where they can take profit and money off the table. Somebody who's here that just doesn't care about that, just wants to keep buying and is going to sell 10 or 20 years down the line. You know, those people probably won't care if the price dips 60 to 70 to 80% for a few years, right? But that's what's going to happen. So just be researching that. When do you think this bull cycle will start? The bull cycle's already started. The bull cycle started last year. Like last year is when it started. So listen, I did a video. I don't know if it's out yet. Let me look at Trello. Hold on. I know my editor, hold on. Let me see here. Let me see if this video still hasn't been put out yet. Predicting the top of this bull market. No, it hasn't been put out yet. Okay. I just built a video on understanding 4-year cycles and market tops. Okay. What I can tell you is this: looking at the last few cycles, okay, looking at the 2021 cycle, the high for Bitcoin and Ethereum happened on the same exact day. It was November, I think 10th or November 11th. It was either I think it was the 10th. It was the 10th. That's my final answer. It was the 10th. But XRP's high didn't happen until January. Okay. So, you know, if you're comparing to previous cycles, usually November or December is the height of the bull market. And then you get kind of the market trying to reach those same highs, you know, next quarter. And then in April 2022 is when Terra Luna collapsed. And then the market was just bear cycle. But the place to take profit was the end of the year. Now, there are some people that say because rates, you know, have been high for some time, and just now we're probably going to start lowering those rates, that could extend the bull market. I just played a clip maybe like 20 minutes ago that was Raoul Paul talking about that exact subject. You know, I'm not going to replay the clip, but what I'll do is I will post the clip in the chat if you're interested to watch it. I just posted it. It's a Twitter link. Go watch that clip so you better understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Thank you for your question. See here. Oh my God, there's just so many people talking. I don't know like where to start here or where to end. Let's see here. Roz says, I'm leaning towards no more 4-year cycles anymore, Robert. I think it's time to change. You know what though, Roz? Listen, I'm going to share a personal story that I, you know, it could have made my life a lot easier. Okay. Here's the story. In 2021, I just got into crypto. Like I got in at the end of 2019, 2020, I was learning, 2021, I was learning. Okay. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know anything about 4-year cycles. I should have known to look, but I was inundated. I was interviewing hundreds of projects. You know, the community was just insane. And I didn't really have enough time to spend time to think about this stuff. I probably left $500,000, maybe even more on the table when I didn't take profits on some assets, right? Because I thought the market was going to keep going up forever. Because I didn't know any better, right? And my life probably would have been a whole lot easier if I would have taken that money off the table. The market actually crashed. You know, like when Terra Luna collapsed, I was in the middle of the ocean. I decided to take a vacation because it was a crazy few years. And my wife and I and my dad and his wife, we took a cruise to Europe. And I was right in the middle of the ocean when the market collapsed. And I didn't even know it collapsed until the next day because we didn't have internet in the middle of the Atlantic. This was before Starlink was everywhere. Okay. And I still think back to how my life could maybe be a little bit different, how I might have had more money to invest in this cycle if I would have done different things last cycle. And I know there's people that say we're not in a 4-year cycle anymore. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And I'm planning accordingly. I think there'll come a time where the market will go up dramatically in insane numbers, right? And we'll still see some of that this cycle. But even the stock market that has, over 100 years of history, has bear markets and has bull markets. They're a little different in the crypto market, right? But those still go through cycles. So like, why is the crypto market going to be different from everything else? That's what I just think about, man. But that was painful, man. And I still look back and say, what if I, trying to learn and not make those mistakes again. But let's see here. XR Pink says, Charles. Oh, you're talking to Charles. I thought you said like Charles Hodgkinson. I can't wait for XRP to change my life. Alexa Garcia, the wealth transfer. My kids will never be without. God bless. That's a lot of us. We are doing what we're doing today, so our future generations can have better lives, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and I can't wait for that either, Alexa. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Is EFT got Bitcoin to the moon? EFT definitely helped Bitcoin's price appreciation. Absolutely. This is like $150 billion went into the ETFs through Bitcoin. Huge deal. Thanks for your psychic visions. I don't think we'll trade sideways for us until this super duper pump. It's hard to say, man. Like, August is usually one of those weird months where the market doesn't know if it wants to go up or go back down. And there's outside agitations that, people are, listen, like, you got to understand that not, and this has been difficult for me over time, is that like people think differently than you do, right? Everybody thinks differently, right? And some of your views and beliefs line up with a group of other people, right? But you got to understand that your views and beliefs don't line up with like half the population, right? And so the way that you think is not the way that everybody else thinks. And so when you have these markets moving, there are people that believe that XYZ is going to happen on this date. And there's other people that believe that this market is going to go on forever, right? And so it's very difficult to find that balance. And so August is usually the month where people don't know if we're going up or we're going down. And so we get a lot of this sideways chop. Okay. But in history, looking back, usually like late September, October, November, December are like the ultimate months to make some pretty decent profits. I'd imagine that we're going to have some of this sideways chop. If we can settle stuff like rates, if rates start coming down, that could really give a boost to the market. If we can figure out some of these trade deals and stop some of these higher tariffs on countries, that will also boost the market, right? And so there's all of these things that are kind of working with each other in kumbaya, I guess. I don't know if I would say it like that, but we'll have to see how it plays out. We might get some chop sideways, though, for some time here. Let's see here. Two big pauses. I think we are coming to the end of a bearish moon cycle. Man, love that, dude. Dave Portnoy, man, that was rough to listen to. I'll have to, I'll tell you a few things about Dave Portnoy. Okay. I love the attention that he was bringing to XRP, right? I didn't love that he was telling people that he was like the XRP ambassador or whatever. And then like he gets one phone call from his friend who he said he doesn't really talk to that much. And that's what he dumped he sold his XRP. Like, if you're not like, if you're going to say that you're the ambassador or you're bringing people in, at least spend the time to understand what you're holding, right? Especially if you're going to spend over $1 million, right? I think what he bought like 1 million XRP, right? Didn't he spend like a few $1 million on it? He's got a lot to lose, but he's also got a lot to gain if he knows what he's holding. And so that was just an unfortunate point. But I think we've all been there, right? I think we've all bought something that we truly didn't understand, and we didn't know if we should sell it or buy more. And often we find ourselves just selling it to move on to something else that maybe we understand better. And then the thing that we just sold goes up. It's happened to all of us. If you've been in the crypto space for long enough, it has happened to you. It's just one of those things that, it's going to be a learning lesson for him. And I think, hopefully he will make those adjustments going forward. Gotta have harmony, brother. Gotta have harmony. Thank you for answering my questions and comments. You're awesome. Another question I have was, I have for you. Have you heard of the moon affecting the market? What do you think of this? The moon affecting the market? Like, is this, like the moon up in the sky, in space moon? Or are we talking about like a different thing that I don't know? Does the moon affect the market? Is that because somebody said something about like the moon cycle? I think it was Big Pause. Where's Big Pause here? Hold on. I think what you were asking was, oh my God, where's your comment, Big Pause? You said something about the moon cycle or something, and I think that's what she's asking about. You'd have to explain. This is what I think. This is what you saw. I think we're coming to the end of a bearish moon cycle. Is this what you saw, Alexa? Is this what you saw? Is that what you're asking? I'm gonna have to have 2Pause break that down. What is 2Pause break down what you're talking about here with the end of a bearish moon cycle, please? Because that's probably like a TA term, and I don't spend too much time with TA. I'm more of a researcher at heart. Just ask Perplexity, Christopher. Come on, man. Don't give me shit about Perplexity. I know sometimes people give me a hard time about Perplexity, but like, it's the best way that I can find to like teach somebody. Like, sometimes people are audio learners, and sometimes people are visual learners, right? And like I used to do research with like Google and those. It's just with Perplexity, I can get more information more quickly to you and not waste your time. So I'm not gonna apologize for my Perplexity usage, but I do love my Perplexity. Big Pause. Can you break this down? Moon and full moon affecting the market somehow. Zach Rector talked about it. Oh, you know what? What's his name just gave me shit about using Perplexity, but that's where we're going. Okay, so hold on. Let me just address the question here. Moon and full moon affecting the market. I don't know if I've ever heard of something like this, but let's just see what we can pull here. All right, moon phases. There is a fascinating subculture among traders and some academic researchers that explore the potential influence of the moon, especially the full moon, on financial markets, including cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Here's the breakdown and context of major findings. Moon and mass psychology. The core idea is that the moon phases, particularly the full moon, influence human emotions and behavior because markets are driven by a collective psychology. Shifts in mood, such as an increase in emotionally or impulsivity around a full moon, might trigger changes in buying or selling patterns, especially in the emotionally charged crypto markets. Okay, this is interesting. Historical and statistical patterns. Over 5 years of data shows that 68% rate of sharp price movements, high volatility in cryptocurrency cycles on full moon days. Okay. Trading volumes also tend to rise by 15 or 20% on full moon days compared to other periods. In roughly 60% of full moons, there are short-term market pullbacks and or corrections, but sometimes full moons also coincide with bullish surges. This pattern is not perfect, but backtests have found a small statistical edge on some traders report that simply buying at the new moon and selling at the full moon would have best modestly profitable over time period. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm glad we looked into that, Alexa. Thank you for asking that. That's really interesting. I have not spent any time looking at that. That's what's really fun about these chats. You know, you can jump in and you can I don't know, ask Grok. I think like Perplexity you can pull from Grok if you wanted to. Like it uses different LLM languages. I know you. You know, it just works so good, and I think I've come. You know, my wife. You know, when I'm driving or something, and then we're talking or something, we want to look something up. You know, we used to say, well, you know, Google it. You know, like look it up. And now I say, you know, I say, hey, look, ask Perplexity, you know, or get my phone, because I have the app on my phone, you know. So I was like, get my phone, put it in. Look up a crypto channel. Water is above crypto. Water is above crypto. Hold on, let's go to YouTube. Water is above crypto. Okay. Water is above. Water's above. Is this one it? Oh, hold on. I can't really play it though with my live stream because then it'll ban my stream because I'm what's called. Okay. I will take a look at this. Look at that. Subscribed. I will take a look at this, man. Absolutely. Oh, here I wasn't on the right one. Here. This is it, right? This is what we're talking about. Just so happens. Water's above. Yeah, we got it. Chad wants me to look up American leadership in the digital finance revolution. Paul Atkins, Chairman Washington. I think we talked about this earlier, Chad. We talked about Paul Atkins at the beginning of the chat. We've talked about it like a few times. I don't know if I want to re-engage with that, man. We're about to be winding this down. I've been streaming for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm getting a little tired here. I gotta go walk Luna. Oh, see, Christopher's giving me crap about it, but he loves Perplexity. Way better than ChatGPT. Exactly. I know, man. I was like, I sent an email to the Perplexity team. I was like, you know, I use your I use your technology in a lot of my content. Like, you guys want to pay me to use Perplexity? I would love that. All right, let's do this, guys. Listen, we got the mods here. We got, a lot of people been here the whole time. Listen, I generally appreciate all of your support, all of your love, all of your questions. We are 99,915 subscribers. We are 85 subscribers away from 100K on the channel. And I just want to thank everybody again for all your support. This has been a pretty crazy few months. Look at that, 2.4 million views. You guys, thank you so much for your love, your support. 100K party. We're going to do that. I don't know if we're going to do it this week. My wife and I are going out to dinner to celebrate, and we're going to have a barbecue here at the end of next month. We have some friends that are coming back, that are away for a few weeks. And once they come back, we're going to have a barbecue to celebrate here. And so that'll be really fun. I'm excited to do that. But listen, thank you guys. I hope each and every one of you has a truly fantastic weekend. Thank you for putting up with my ideas and my research and all of my craziness. I really appreciate you. And I love having all of the multiple opinions and the way that everybody thinks in the chat. I think we can all, if we work together, we can get a lot further. And it just, you guys mean the world to me. So thank you very much. I hope everybody has a truly fantastic weekend. I'm going to try to stream more, other than Tuesdays and Fridays, but thank you for this time. I will see you later, guys. Have a fantastic evening. Seaman, Lorenzo, Christopher, Ariana, Kate, Corey here, Stuart, Brock, everybody. Thank you so much. All right. I'll see you guys. Aloha.